nilagay sa sahig na sumisimbolo niya sa pagpapanatili ng social distancing. Sinikap naman ng mga participant na sumunod. Gayunman, dahil sa matinding sikat ng araw kanina, Alex, sumilong ang marami sa kanila sa gilid dahilan upang sila ay magtabi-tabi na. Alex, update lamang dito sa may kabaan ng Commonwealth Avenue sa Quezon City pa rin ay maraming mga miyembro nga ng MMDA at mga pulis yung nakapwesto na. Nagitiyak yan ng seguridad. Alex, Yusek Raki.
Okay, maraming salamat sa iyo, Alam Francisco. Babalikan pa natin ang ating mga kasama maya-maya lamang, Alex, para alamin ang pinakahuling update mula sa kanila.
Okay, nais po natin pasalamatan ang ating pong mga katuwang sa paghatid po na ito pong PTV special coverage na ito. Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation of PAGCOR, building lives that build the nation. At maging ang Land Bank of the Philippines, we help you grow.
Magpapatuloy pa ang ating makabuluhang talakayan. Diyan lamang po kayo magbabalik po ang PTV special coverage SONA 2020.
This special coverage is brought to you by Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, building lives that build the nation. Land Bank of the Philippines, we help you grow. And Development Bank of the Philippines, we build possibilities.
Hi, schoolmates! Kahit tayo ay nasa ating tahanan, hindi dapat mahinto ang pagkatuto.
That's true. At makakapanayam din natin ang mga eksperto patungkol sa mga isyung pangbayan.
Siyempre, dito lamang yan sa kauna-unahang virtual debate show on Philippine television.
I think it's required for college students to be able to familiarize themselves from online learning.
If we would push through this online, it will be a privileged education.
Patuloy na maglilingkod para sa kabataan at para sa bayan. Schoolmates, tuwing Huwebes ng gabi, dito lang sa PTV. Sa muli nating pagpasok sa ating mga opisina, narito ang ilang mga gabay pangkaligtasan upang masugpo ang paglaganap ng COVID-19. Bigyan ng sapat na gamit ang mga empleyado upang maprotektahan ang kanilang kalusugan. Kung may clinic staff, bigyan sila ng tamang PPE o personal protective equipment. Gumawa ng daily health questionnaire para sa mga manggagawa at i-temperature scan ang bawat isa bago pumasok. Maglaan ng isang isolation area para sa mga empleyadong kakikitaan ng lagnat at iba pang sintomas. Maaari ring magsagawa ng COVID-19 testing para sa mga empleyado na naaayon sa panuntunan ng DOH. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Sa likod ng aming mga pagsisikap, hangad namin ang maiangat ang bawat Pilipino. Magbigay pag-asa. maging kaagapay sa pagbangon, katuwa sa pag-abot ng pangarap, at maging lakas at sandigan ng isang masigasig na bayan. PAGCOR, creating opportunities beyond gaming. Abangan ang pagbabalik ng GSIS Financial Assistance Loan o GFAL sa August 15. Maging praktikal, mag-GFAL. This special coverage is brought to you by Development Bank of the Philippines. We build possibilities.
Nagbabalik po ang PTV Special Coverage Sona 2020. Ang COVID-19 pandemic ang pinakamalaking suliraning kinakaharap at patuloy na kinakaharap ng ating bansa ngayon. Kaya naman po ito rin ang pinakatinututukan ng ating pamahalaan, Alex. Ano-ano nga ba ang mga naging hakbang ng gobyerno para matugunan ang COVID-19 pandemic? Panoorin po natin ito.
Sa nagdaang taon ng tapang at malasakit ng Administrasyong Duterte, isang pandemya ang sumubok sa ating bansa. Ang Coronavirus Disease 2019 o mas kilala bilang COVID-19. Tumigil ang buong mundo, lalo na ang pamumuhay ng mga natamaan ng sakit, kabilang na si Absi.
Hindi ko agad nalaman na positive ako. So ang ginawa ko, nagpa-check up muna ako sa aming doctor and I was diagnosed with bronchitis. And then, sabi nung doktora, it could worsen to pneumonia. So she gave me antibiotics. Nung nagkakaroon lang ako ng difficulties talaga ng paghinga, that was the only time na sinwab test ako. But it was after a week. Because I was critical Severe kasi naging case ko with COVID-19. Unlike those people na iba na ano lang sila, mild, pero sa akin, severe. Kasi nga, meron akong mga comorbidities. I have diabetes, I have hypertension, I have weak lungs. I was advised to transfer sa ICU. And then I spent 41 days in the hospital.
41 days, 41 araw ng sakit at lungkot sa loob ng ospital. Higit 1 buwan nang walang kasiguruhan kung siya ay makaka-recover pa mula sa sakit. Lalo pat kung ang kakaharapin niyang bayarin sa ospital ay aabot sa 4 na milyong piso.
With 4 million, madidrain lahat talaga. Even yung aking HMO is not capable of paying the 4 million.
Sa pamamagitan ng RA 11469 o ang Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, ipinag-utos ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte na mabigyang seguridad pampinansyal ang bawat Pilipino na kakaharap sa COVID-19.
So what we did, we initially rolled out, sinabi namin, yung mga na-admit before April 14, sasagutin at cost ng PhilHealth. After April 14, and this was supposed to coincide with the first lockdown, we already know something about the disease. So merong 4 case rates, starting at 43,000 for mild, 143,000 for moderate, and then 333,000 for severe, and 786,000 for critical. Ito yung mga na-ICU. As of now, we have received 4,540 claims. That's worth about 2.2 billion.
Mahalaga rin ang pagkakaroon ng mura at readily available na test kit sa bansa. Kaya naman sa pakikipagtulungan ng DOST sa isang grupo ng Filipino scientist ay nabuo ang kauna-unahang locally made Filipino COVID-19 test kits.
We started putting together the first versions and it underwent all the processes that we have to do. And then we come up with the second version, and that's the one that is being released out there at the moment. As an advocate of biological preparedness, my team and I think that this is how we can contribute to the national response.
Sa patuloy na pananalasa ng pandemyang ito sa bansa, tuloy-tuloy din ang hakbanging ginagawa ng pamahalaan para maibsan ang epekto nito sa ating kalusugan, kabuhayan at ekonomiya. Sa patuloy ding paglaban ng ating mga kababayan sa COVID-19 at sa sama-sama nating pakikiisa, mapapatunayan nating ang bawat pagsubok ay may kaakibat na solusyon. Together, we can heal as one. Together, we can recover as one.
I was discharged April 16, so more than 3 months na, pero still, naka-oxygen support pa din ako. I will be forever indebted to PhilHealth because hindi lang nila binayaran yung bills ko, they gave me peace of mind para makapag-recover ako while in the hospital. Alam ko na all I have to do is to relax, to recover, because PhilHealth would take care of my bills.
Yusek Rocky, no? Kung hindi tumugon dito na mabilis ang ating pamalaan, maaring umabot pa ho tayo ng milyon na matatamaan po ng COVID-19. Pero sa nakita ho natin, bagamat wala namang may gusto nitong sakit na ito, ang ating pong gobyerno ay tumugon, gumalaw, at nagawan po ng paraan, at least maibsan po ang matatamaan po dito. At very promising ho dito, mataas po ang rating po nitong mga nakarecover sa sakit.
Yes, ang napakahalaga dito, Alex, yung healthcare system natin. Kasi talagang ito yung dapat na pinakatutok dahil ang problema natin, ang kinakaharap natin ay sakit o virus. So healthcare system talaga ang pinakakailangan palakasin na dito. Bukod pa dyan sa, alam mo, napakahalaga rin nung dun sa Bayanihan Act na batas yung para alagaan yung ating mga frontliners.
Totoo.
Isa yun sa mga pinakamahalaga. Dahil aminin man natin sa ate o hindi, talagang nagkaroon talaga tayo ng takot dito sa ating mga frontliners.
At dahil dyan, Yusek, at least nabanggit mo yung mga health workers, so ating mga frontliners, maraming salamat po sa inyong pong walang pagod na tumutugon po para ho sa kaligtasan po ng ating pong mga mamamayan. Masivir man ho yan o mild cases po, nandyan po kayo. Maraming salamat po. At maging siguro ang ating Pangulo very happy sa ginagawa ho ninyo. Kaya naman tumugon rin po ang pamahalaan dito. Una, protektahan kayo. Binigyan ho kayo ng mga personal protective equipment at mga bibigay ng mga hazard pay. Importante ho yun.
Oo, nakalatag lahat yon sa Bayanihan Act at siyempre yung ating mga concerned agencies na patuloy na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng taong bayan, kaugnay pa rin po ng pandemic.
At kaugnay nga ho ng binanggit nga ho ni Yusek Rocky, pagtugon po sa COVID-19 pandemic, isang mahalaga pong batas ang ipinasa na ating po mga lawmakers, ang Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Panoorin po natin ito.
Sa loob ng 2 dekada ay naninirahan si Honilyn sa Manila North Cemetery. Nagtatrabaho bilang tagapag-alaga ng mga yumao at nangangandila sa sementeryo. Hindi niya akalain na mas lulugmok ang kanyang mag-anak sa kahirapan dahil sa COVID-19.
Ang pangalan ko po ay Honilyn Bermilio. At ako po ay 24 years old.
Mahirap ba ang buhay dito sa loob ng cemetery?
Sobrang hirap po. Kasi kapag wala pong dalaw, wala rin po kami ikabubuhay. Katulad po ngayon, nagkaroon po ng pandemic, wala rin pong pumapasok na Kaya nagtsatsaga po kami sa mga bigay po sa barangay namin. Kapag wala rin pong gawa yung asawa ko sa labas, nga po, ito nga.
Katulad ni Honilyn, isa rin si Nikki May Mailas, residente ng Caloocan City, sa labis na naapektuhan ng pandemya, lalo na't nagsisimula pa lang siyang bumuo ng sarili niyang pamilya.
Ang pangalan ko po ay Nikki May Mailas, 2 years old. Buntis po ako nun dito. Yung ayun nga, yung COVID na po, wala wala po talaga kaming makain kasi yun nga po yung wala po kaming makain kasi wala po kaming malapitan kasi parehas din naman po yung mahirap din po kasi sila mama. Wala din trabaho sila papa, tsaka 6 po kaming magkakapatid. Wala po talaga kaming makain. Ayun, nagtataga lang po kami sa tulong po ng barangay. Sobrang hirap po talaga nung nagkaroon ng COVID kasi wala po talaga kahit bigas po wala.
Upang matulungan ang mga kababayan nating may hirap na apektado ng COVID-19, ay inunsad ng Department of Social Welfare and Development sa ilalim ng Emergency Subsidy Program ng Bayanihan to Heal as One Act ang Social Amelioration Program na naglalayong magbigay ng 5 hanggang 8,000 pisong tulong pinansyal sa 18 milyong pamilya.
Nalaman ko po yung sakto na yun sa social media po. Nung una po, hindi po kasi ako naniwala. Hanggang sa in-announce na lang po sa barangay namin na nagbibigayan po ng form para sa SAP po.
Mula sa 8,000 pisong ayuda na kanyang natanggap sa DSWD, ay pinuhunan ni Haneline ng 1,500 pesos para makapagsimula ng kanyang fishball and kikiam business.
So, ginawa ko po nung nakuha ko po yun. Nag-stock ako ng mga pagkain namin. Tapos, yan po, pinangpuhunan ko po yung natira. Kasi kung hindi ko po gagawin yan, wala po kaming pagkukuhaan ng pang-araw-araw namin. Wala rin naman po kasi maayos na trabaho yung asawa. Kaya naisipan ko po na gano'n.
Nang dahil naman sa Social Amelioration Program, ay nagawang makapanganak
Talagang hindi po namin ginastos kasi sa laying siguro po hindi namin alam kung saan kami kukuha ng pampaano. Buti, nandyan ka po na para may naiisip na solusyon sa ganitong COVID-19, tsaka po may mga tulong ka din pong naiparating sa amin. Kailangan ka po namin, kailangan ka po ng bansa natin.
Tama. At Yusek Rocky, no, sa loob po ng 2 or 3 buwan ho nating isinilalim po tayo sa Enhanced Community Quarantine. Yes. Dahil nga ho, pag-ingatan na hindi humahawaan lahat ng COVID-19, naglabas ho ng pondo ang ating Pangulong Duterte, no? Sa tulong na rin po ng ating po mga mambabatas, ay naprobahan ng itong batas nito at ngayong Social Amelioration Program.
Yes, kasi
19 billion million na beneficiaries po nakatanggap
correct,
nito.
106 billion pesos
Malaki-laki.
ang sinabi ng DSWD. Alam naman po natin, itong Social Amelioration Program, ito yung pinakamahalaga nung nagsimula talaga yung community quarantine. Ito yung pinakakailangan ng taong bayan kasi hindi ka pwedeng lumabas, hindi ka magtatrabaho. So ang talagang tulong na ipinabot ng gobyerno, yung pang-araw-araw na kailangan ng isang ordinaryong pamilyang Pilipino.
Aminin man natin ho, lahat siguro ho tayo apektado ho dito. Mas lalo na ho yung mga nasa informal sectors,
Yes.
yung wala talaga hong pinagkakitaan tulad ho ng pamamasada at yung ilan po yung mga maliliit na tindahan, yung sila ho naapektuhan. Pero nakatugon po dito ang DSWD sa tulong rin po ng Malacanang. At
bilang pakikiisa sa ika-5 SONA ni Pangulong Duterte, makakausap po natin si National Security Advisor Secretary Hermogenes Esperon Jr. via VMix. Magandang hapon, Secretary.
Magandang hapon, Yusek Rocky and Alex, Mr. Santos. Magandang hapon sa inyo.
Good afternoon,
At
Secretary.
magandang hapon sa ating mga kababayan.
Yes, ilang oras na lang po, Secretary, ay maririnig na natin ang laman na magiging ulat sa bayan ni Pangulong Duterte. Sa inyo po, ano po ang inaasahan nyong lalamanin ng SONA ni Pangulong Duterte mamaya?
Alam mo naman na Rocky, ang ating SONA ay kung sa talagang speech lang ay aabutin yan ng mga 30 to 40 minutes. Pero sa programa, baka abutin niya na mas mahaba pa. Kaya sa maiksing panahon na yan, alam natin na ang ating Pangulo ay kanyang tatalakayan ang mga napaka-importante at mga urgent matters that our countrymen would like to hear from him. Alam natin na hindi lahat ng bagay ay kanyang masasabi dyan. Kaya nga't mabuti na lang, mayroon tayong tinatawag na pre-SONA. Bago mag-SONA ay mayroon ng ipinalabas ang ating mga cabinet clusters upang maliwanagan ang mga iba't ibang issue na importante sa ating mga kababayan. Yung ating 6 na cluster ay sinasakop na lahat ang kung ano man ang mayroon tayo sa governance at saka sa kabuhayan. Dito, in the name of national security and the well-being of the nation, there are many topics. Of course, kasama na dyan na alam ko, number 1, ang COVID, tungkol sa COVID-19, kung paano ang ating mga responses and programs para sa mga ito. At pagkatapos niyan ay, siyempre, babalang kasi ng ating Pangulo kung paano natin pasisiglahin ang ating ekonomiya dahil kung panay naman tayo laban sa COVID ay mawawalan naman ating kabuhayan. But there are of course other topics that I wish could be taken up. Ngunit kung hindi man ito mabigyan ng panahon sa SONA, sa maikling SONA nga lang na panahon ng SONA, ay may mga gusto talaga akong mailabas din. At kung hindi man ay sigurado ako na pagkatapos ng SONA ay ating haharapin ang mga ito. At ito ay sasabihin ko na, yung mga ibang kailangan harapin natin. Ito yung ending the local communist armed conflict. At alam naman natin na 52 years na yung panggugulo sa atin ng New People's Army at ang kanyang Partido Komunista. Na kung wala sana ito ay malayo na ang mararating at kasaganahan ng ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na sa malalayong lugar. Mayroon din dyan yung pagpapalakas ng ating posisyon sa West Philippine Sea, sa Philippine Rise at saka sa baba, sa Sulu Sea. Kailangan palakasin natin ang ating posisyon dyan. At kailangan ituloy pa rin natin ang anti-illegal drugs campaign. At ngayon ay lumalabas naman na kailangan talagang pagtuunan na natin ng pansin ang terrorism at nandito na nga ang ating anti-terrorism law. At maraming ang mga komento dito at mga petisyon. Kaya ating haharapin ito. Alam mo naman na ang sabi ng mga kumukontra sa Anti-Terrorism Act ay ginagamit daw ito para masuppress ang individual liberties and rights. Mali po yun. Meron tayong tunay na terrorism na nandito sa atin. Alam naman natin yan. Alam natin ang Marawi Siege, alam natin yung ginagawa ng ISIS, alam natin kung ano ang Abu Sayyaf. Ang tinutukoy ng anti-terrorism law ay terorismo, hindi activism. Dahil ang activism ay hindi naman terrorism at ang terrorism ay hindi naman activism. Kaya talagang pagtutuunan natin ang pansin ito, ating gagawin ng anti-terrorism law, ating ipapatupad ito para sa seguridad ng bansa, para sa atin, sa Pilipino. At sigurado ako na kung magtatagumpay ang ating mga patakaran at pag-implement ang anti-terrorism law, ay magkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag nating culture of security, orderliness and lawfulness. Yan ang anti-terrorism law para sa atin.
Opo. Secretary,
Terrorist.
opo, katulad nga po ng sinabi nyo, Secretary, sa kabila po ng ating problema, dulot ng pandemic, para sa inyo, hindi pa rin dapat ipagsawalang bahala yung mga dati ng problema na may kinalaman po sa ating seguridad. At bilang mensahe po, Secretary, sa ating manonood, kaugnay pa rin po ng SONA ng Pangulo, kunin po namin ang inyong mga mensahe para sa ating mga kababayan.
Ang ating wish para sa ating mga kababayan ay siyempre sana ligtas ang lahat sa COVID, pananalasa ng COVID-19 at sana ay magsama-sama tayo upang may taguyod ang buong bansa. Hindi pwedeng gobyerno lang ang gagalaw dito. Dapat may kooperasyon ng bawat isa. Nang sa ganon ay maging ligtas tayo at ang ating ekonomiya naman ay babalik sa kanyang dating takbo na napakaganda ng ating ekonomiya. So, good health to all. Keep safe, keep well, at I'll also take this opportunity to wish the President good health. Dahil kailangan natin siya. Siya ang ating talagang matatag na pinuno sa mga mahirap na mga panahon na to. Kailangan natin isang matatag na pamumuno. At yan ay nakikita natin sa ating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Okay, Secretary Hermogenes Esperon, sir. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po kayo, sir. Thank you.
Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Mabuhay kayo.
Thank you po, Secretary. Samantala, alam naman natin po, malapit sa puso ni Pangulong Duterte ang mga overseas Filipino workers o mga OFW. Kaya kahit sa panahon po ng pandemya, hindi nakalimutan po ng pamahalaan ng ating po mga kababayang OFWs. Tunghayan po natin ang ulat nito.
Uy, Ma! Anak! Kumusta na kayo dyan? Graduation ko na next week. Saan regalo ko? Wow! Proud ako sa iyo, anak! Buti naman, makakauwi at makakapagpahinga na si Mama. Anong uuwi? Wag muna, Ma. Ang daming gastusin dito. Sobrang excited na akong umuwi at makapiling kayo. Miss na miss ko na kayo eh. Ma, ano ba yan? Tama masyado. Sige na, may lako pa ako.
Bukod sa mga maletang naglalaman ng mga gamit, ang pangarap na maiahon sa hirap ng buhay ang pamilya, ang siyang naging mabigat na bagahe ng mga kababayan nating OFW sa kanilang pakikipagsapalaran sa ibang bansa.
Ako lang yung inaasahan ng magulang ko at lalong-lalo na dahil mahihina na po sila kasi mga matatanda na nga po sila. So naglakas loob talaga ako na mag-abroad para maibigay ko sa kanila yung pangangailangan nila.
Yung kalaban lang po talaga is yung bawalay ka sa pamilya. Para sa akin po yun talaga yung pinakamahirap sa isang OFW eh. Nung hindi mo makasama yung pamilya mo sa iba't ibang okasyon.
Saka yung sa trabaho namin, napaka-delikado talaga. Hindi mo alam kung makakauwi ka pa.
Sa pagkalat ng sakit na COVID-19 sa buong mundo ngayong taon, libu-libong OFW ang apektado at nawala ng trabaho. Kaya naman marami sa kanila ang kinakailangang bumalik ng Pilipinas.
Ako po ay pumunta po ako doon upang magtrabaho. Yun nga lang po, hindi po naging maganda yung buhay ko doon kasi gawa po ng krisis. Yang wala pong maipasahod sa akin yung amo ko. Then tumakas pa ako sa aking amo. Masakit po sa pakiramdam na pumunta ka po doon upang magtrabaho tapos wala ka pong maipadala sa pamilya mo.
Almost every month talagang gustong-gusto ko nung makauwi. Parang kang mababaliw na ba na tapos iniisip mo yung family mo dito back home is anong mangyayari. Tapos kapag ako nagkaroon, paano hindi na kami magkikita? Last pagkikita namin yung kailan ako umuwi, di ba?
Dahil dito, kasama sa naging aksyon ng pamahalaan kontra COVID-19 ay ang repatriation program para sa mga kababayan nating OFW. Sa bisa ng repatriation program, nasa mahigit 100,000 apektadong OFW na ang nakauwi na sa Pilipinas at nakabalik na sa kani-kanilang probinsya.
Pagkalapag ko lang po dun sa Pilipinas, may nag-a-assist na kaagad sa amin ng mga passport DFA. Itinuro po sa amin kung saan yung papuntang swab test. Kumbaga, todo assist sila doon. Hindi ka naman nila doon papabayaan. Alam mo yung sobrang gutom mo sa biyahe. Tapos pagdating mo doon sa Obaw, may matatanggap ka kaagad na pagkain.
Ultimo yung plane ticket po namin, shouldered po by the government. As in, sobrang thankful po kami na kahit ganitong pandemic, hindi po talaga kami pinababayaan kaming mga OFW. Kaya maraming salamat po talaga sa government po natin.
Kamusta na po kayo ating mga mahal na OFWs at inyong mga kamag-anak, mahal sa buhay? I'm sure nakarating na po kayo sa inyong mga pamayanan, lalawigan, home LGUs. Ito po isang ayon na rin sa direktiba ng ating mahal na Pangulo na bigyan ng prioridad ang OFW family reunification. Alam nyo, talagang wala nang mahalaga pa sa amin na makita kayo na kapiling ninyo ang inyong mga mahal sa buhay dahil sila naman po ang punot dulo ng inyong pag-a-abroad. Manalangin tayong lahat na tayo makaraos dito sa pandemya na ito para mapagpatuloy po natin ang ating pangkabuhayan kung di man dito sa ating mahal na bayan ay sa abroad.
Para sa isang OFW na nawalay sa kanyang pamilya sa loob ng maraming taon, isang malaking regalo ang makapiling muli ang kanyang mga mahal sa buhay, lalo na sa panahong ito.
Pangulong Duterte, maraming salamat po talaga. Fan po talaga ako na ikaw pong presidente na nakaupo po.
Kay President Duterte po, maraming salamat po sa inyong tulong at napauwi niyo po kami. Thank you po. Sana po marami pa po kayong matulungan na tulad po namin.
Tulad ng maletang tatak na ng ating patuloy na paglalakbay, patuloy rin ang ating pamahalaan sa pagbibigay ng tapat at epektibong serbisyo publiko na magdadala sa atin ng tatak ng pagbabago.
Nako, Yusek Rocky, hindi talaga matatawaran ang mga ginawa pong hakbang ng ating pong Department of Labor and Employment. Talagang
At OWA, at OWA.
Pati OWA, dahil under ng OWA, ang OWA sa Department of Labor, talagang sub-sub. Kita nyo naman po si Administrator Kakdak, halos puti na buhok.
Alam mo, one time na-interview ko siya sa Laging Handa. Nasa sasakyan siya. Dahil may mga inaasikaso ka. Alam niyo po, talagang si Pangulong Duterte, ang talagang kanyang pangunahing direktiba nung tumama itong COVID-19 sa bansa, huwag pabayaan yung mga Pilipino na nasa ibayong dagat. Yung ating mga tinuturing na makabagong bayani.
Totoo.
So talagang nung sinabing kailangan uuwi sila, maraming di ba alam naman natin yung mga takot, pangamba na magdadala. Pero ang sabi nga ng Pangulo, wala tayong pwedeng gawin sa mga yan dahil yan ay mga Pilipino.
Totoo. Dahil nga hindi natin batid sa ibang mga bansa, kita nyo naman po ang mga nasa number 1. Talagang marami tayong mga Pilipino doon. Kaya para maibsan ang takot po ng ilan po natin mga OFWs, nandito pong gobyerno, kami po ang tutulong sa inyo. Kaya nabanggit nga na lahat po ng mga na-interview doon, sagot po ng gobyerno pamasahe para lamang sila makauwi. At sa kanila pag-uwi dito, hindi parang wala mangyari sa kanila dito. Hindi nandyan po ang OWA at ang TESDA. Yes. Ngayon po ang TESDA patuloy po sa kanila pong ginagawa.
Tayo makaraos dito sa pandemya na ito para mapagpatuloy po natin ang ating pangkabuhayan kung di man dito sa ating mahal na bayan ay sa abroad.
Para sa isang OFW na nawalay sa kanyang pamilya sa loob ng maraming taon, isang malaking regalo ang makapiling muli ang kanyang mga mahal sa buhay, lalo na sa panahong ito.
Pangulong Duterte, maraming salamat po talaga. Fan po talaga ako na ikaw pong presidente na nakaupo.
Kay President Duterte po, maraming salamat po sa inyong tulong at napauwi niyo po kami. Thank you po. Sana po marami pa po kayong matulungan na tulad po namin.
Tulad ng maletang tatak na ng ating patuloy na paglalakbay, patuloy rin ang ating pamahalaan sa pagbibigay ng tapat at epektibong serbisyo publiko na magdadala sa atin ng tatak ng pagbabago.
Nako, Yusek, tawaran ang mga ginawa pong hakbang ng ating pong Department of Labor and Employment. No, talagang
At OWA, at OWA.
Pati OWA, dahil under ng OWA, ang OWA sa Department of Labor, talagang subsob. Wala. Kita nyo naman po si Administrator Kakdak, halos puti na hong buhok.
Alam mo, one time na interview ko siya sa Laging Handa. Nasa sasakyan siya dahil may mga inaasikaso ka. Alam niyo po, talagang si Pangulong Duterte, ang talagang kanyang pangunahing direktiba nung tumama itong COVID-19 sa bansa, huwag pabayaan yung mga Pilipino na nasa ipayong dagat. Yung ating mga tinuturing na makabagong bayani.
Totoo.
So talagang nung sinabing kailangan uuwi sila, maraming di ba alam naman natin yung mga takot, pangamba na magdadala. Pero ang sabi nga ng Pangulo, wala tayong pwedeng gawin sa mga yan dahil yan ay mga Pilipino.
Totoo. Dahil nga hindi natin batid ho. Sa ibang mga bansa, kita nyo naman po ang mga nasa number 1. Talaga marami ho tayong mga Pilipino ho doon. Kaya para ho maibsan ang takot po ng ilan po natin mga OFWs, nandito pong gobyerno, kami po ang tutulong sa inyo. Kaya nabanggit nga ho na lahat mo ng mga interview ho doon, sagot po ng gobyerno pamasahe para lamang ho sila makauwi. At sa kanilang pag-uwi ho dito, hindi ho parang wala ho mangyari sa kanila dito. Hindi ho. Nandyan po ang OWA at ang TESDA.
Yes.
Ngayon po ang TESDA patuloy po sa kanilang pong ginagawa para po sila po ay bigyan ng karunungan, dagdag pong training para po sila ma-equip para sa next move nila, pwede na ho sila hindi na bumiyahe sa abroad. Pwede na naman ho dito sa Pilipinas magtrabaho.
Yes, at tayo nga ay para palagyan natin tinatanong na sa OWA kay Secretary Bello, ano po yung inyong mga programa para sa mga umuwing OFWs under po sa DOLE, sa AKAP, kahit nasa abroad sila, kailangan paabutan sila ng tulong. At siyempre, sa pagpatulungan na rin ng Department of Foreign Affairs na talaga namang sinisiguro yung ating mga Pilipino na nagtatrabaho sa abroad para lang po mabigyan ng magandang buhay ang kanilang mga pamilya dito. Kaya ang ating pong pamahalaan ay talagang siniguro rin na sa kanilang pagbabalik dito ay talagang tatanggapin sila at bibigyan ng panibagong buhay dahil nga sa naging epekto, malawak ang epekto ng malawak ang epekto nitong COVID-19 hindi lamang po sa Pilipinas kundi sa buong mundo.
Pero di ba may kasabihan nga, Yusek Rocky, na huwag mong bigyan ng isda ang isang tao. Turuan mo siyang mamingwit para siya po makakakuha ng isda. Tama rin po yung ginagawa ng ating pamahalaan. Kayo po nandito na ako sa ating pumbayan. Hindi lang ho livelihood program sa ibibigay sa inyo. Dapat po ay nasa inyo pong sikap rin po yan. Nandiyan lang po nakaalala.
Pangmatagalang.
Yes, long term po. Nasa sa inyo po yan. Okay, maraming salamat po sa ating pong nakatuwang ho dito sa ating pong ginagawa pong special coverage sa ika-5 zona na ho, State of the Nation address po ng ating pong Pangulong Duterte. Katuwang ho natin dito ang Philippine Gaming Amusement and Gaming Corporation of PAGCOR, building lives that build a nation. Pati na rin po ang kasama natin si Dita Sandico. Ma'am Dita, thank you so much. At maganos para sa aming pong mga kasuotan.
Magbabalik pa po ang PTV Special Coverage Zona 2020. Diyan lamang po kayo.
This station is being supported by the Office of the ZSMST President.
This is Chapter systems are offline. Number 1 for today's hits and all-time favorite. Baby, let's go!
106.7 Marino FM.
106.7 Marino News FM.
106.7 Marino News FM. Snappy!
Sa patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19, narito ang ilang impormasyon tungkol sa social distancing. Sa community quarantine, nililimitahan ang paggalaw ng mga tao. Ganito rin ang sitwasyon sa sektor ng transportasyon, subalit patuloy ang biyahe ng cargo at delivery. Ipinagbabawal naman ang pagtitipon-tipon sa isang lugar. Suspendido rin ang klase at ibang aktibidad sa loob ng isang buwan. Ipinapatupad din ang flexible working hours sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno at hinihimok din ang mga pribadong kumpanya na gawin din ito. Sa panahong ito, hinihikayat ang lahat na panatilihin ang layong 1 metro o 1 dipa mula sa mga tao sa inyong paligid. Labanan ang virus, pigilan ang pagkalat, puksain ang COVID-19. Isang paalala mula sa Philippine Broadcasting Service.
The Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology, an ISO certified, welcomes enrollees and transferees to school year 2020-2021. Pre-registration starts on June 17, 2020 for undergraduate and graduate levels. The following programs offered. For graduate programs, Master of Science in Marine Biodiversity, Master in Fisheries Management, major in Aquaculture Technology, Master of Arts in Teaching English for specific purposes, Master of Arts in Education, major in Alternative Learning System, Master in Maritime Management, Master of Arts in Teaching Marine Transportation, Master in Public Management, Master of Arts in Home Economics. For baccalaureate programs, Bachelor of Science in Marine Transportation, Bachelor of Science in Marine Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management, Bachelor of Science in Fisheries, Bachelor of Science in Fisheries Post-Harvest Technology, Laderize, Bachelor of Science in Aquaculture, Bachelor of Science in Food Technology, Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology, Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science, Bachelor of Science in Marine Technology, Bachelor of Secondary Education, majors in Sciences, English, Filipino, Mathematics, Bachelor in Technology Livelihood Education, majors in Home Economics, Agri-Fishery Arts, and Information and Communications Technology. For non-degree and certificate programs, Professional Education Certificate, and Diploma in Marine Electronics and Communication Technology. Enrollment starts on June 22, 2020. Be part of the ZSC MST family, where quality education is free.
More music. Only here on 106.7 Marino News FM.
Marami tayong maaaring gawin para sa ikauunlad ng bayan. Mga simpleng bagay. Pagsuot ng seatbelt, pagpila ng maayos, pagbigay ng upuan sa nakakatanda, pagsunod sa batas. Madali lang naman, di ba? Simulan mo na. Gawin mo ang tama.
The Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology, an ISO certified, welcomes enrollees and transferees to school year 2020-2021. Pre-registration starts on June 17, 2020 for undergraduate and graduate levels. Enrollment starts on June 22, 2020 to August 29, 2020 for freshmen, transferees, graduate school, and professional education certificate. July 1 to 25, 2020 for second year. July 16 to 30, 2020 for third year and fourth year. And August 1 to 21, 2020 open for all levels. Classes begin August 24, 2020. Be part of the ZSC MST family, where quality education is free.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
106.7 Marino FM.
Sa boxing, sagot ko kayo. Pero sa laban kuratindas, dapat magkasama tayo. Pabakunahan ang inyong mga anak. Abangan ang mga bakunador o pumunta sa pinakamalapit na health center. Ito ang pinakamabisang paraan kontra sa tigdas. Para sa inyo ang laban na to. Knockout Tigdas. Para lahat tayo ay ligtas.
The Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology, an ISO certified.
Para magkaroon tayo ng mas makabuluhang usapan tungkol sa SONA ng Pangulo, makakasama po natin si Dr. Dennis Coronacion, Dean ng Political Science Department mula sa University of Santo Tomas. Magandang araw po and welcome po sa PTV dito sa ating SONA 2020.
Magandang araw rin po sa inyo.
So mamaya, Yusek Rocky, kakusapin natin si Dr. Coronacion. Marami mo tayong itatanong sa kanya tungkol po sa kalagahan po nito pong State of the Nation Address. Panglima na po ito. Anyway, bago po yan, dahil po pa rin po sa hirap ng idinudulot po ng COVID-19 pandemic, marami po sa ating mga kababayan ang gusto na lamang pong umuwi sa kanilang mga lalawigan at magsimula muli. Marami rin po tayong mga kababayan na na-stranded sa iba't ibang pong lugar nang ipatupad po ang community quarantine. Paano sila natulungan po ng ating pong gobyerno? Alamin sa report na ito.
Hindi namin inaasahan, nagpunta kami dito, nakikipagsapalaran sa hanap buhay dahil mahirap naman sa probinsya. Hindi naman namin inasahan yung pangyayari. Mahirap dito, hindi na natin alam kung kailan pa matundikan yung problema sa COVID na to.
Noong May 6, 2020, sa bisa ng Executive Order 114, pinagtibay ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ang Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Program. Isang hakbang ng pamahalaan para tulungang makauwi ang mga kababayan nating gusto nang bumalik at manirahan sa kanilang mga lalawigan mula sa mga urban areas, kagaya na lang sa Metro Manila at iba pang malalaking lungsod sa bansa.
Kaya nga, nakita namin yung programa sa gobyerno, nag-apply kami. Tapos, nag-desisyon na lang kami nga mag-uwi na lang sa probinsya.
Ang gusto namin linawin sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan as well as sa ating mga beneficiaries under the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa. Ang Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa is a long-term intervention for our people here in Metro Manila na gusto nang babalik or uuwi sa probinsya for good.
Subalit kamakailan ay nagpasya ang pamahalaan na pansamantalang ipagpaliban ang Balik Probinsya Program. Ito ay upang agarang matugunan ang dumaraming bilang ng mga locally stranded individual sa bansa. Mas binibigyang prioridad muna ngayon ang Hatid Tulong Program. Dito mas tinututukan ang mga stranded ngayon sa Metro Manila, alinsunod na rin sa kautusan ni Pangulong Duterte na tulungan ang mga LSIs.
The OFWs that have landed several days ago nandito sa Maynila. The students that have been stranded nasa Maynila. Yung construction worker nasa Maynila. So sabi namin, well, as a matter of urgency and importance, mas malaki ang importansya for the home kasi ito yung mga tao na walang bahay at saka walang enough capacity to finance their stay here in Metro Manila. And government naman, as a matter of our responsibility to the people, sabi natin, rather than nagutom sila dito sa Maynila, walang pagkain at walang hotel, sobrang mahal. So the government made an initiative which we call Hatid Tulong.
Tinitiyak naman na dumaraan lahat sa proper protocol ang mga ihahatid sa kanilang mga probinsya, kagaya na lamang ng pagsailalim sa swab testing. Paraan na rin ito para matiyak na ligtas sa virus ang isang individual pauwi sa kanyang probinsya.
Ako po si Marilyn Compraayo, taga Hinabuyan, Villabaliti. Nag-alaga ako ng tiya ko na may sakit na stroke. Tapos pinawian din siya ng buhay. Totally, nandun naman po family ko, may baby po ako doon. Hindi na po talaga ako makawala. As in, dapat po uwi na ako sa amin sa Leyte po.
Sa ngayon, libo-libong mga kababayan na natin ang nakabahagi sa mga programang ito ng ating pamahalaan at naihatid na sa kanilang mga probinsya kasama ang kanilang pamilya.
Sa tulong po ni Mr. kasi din po na sa amin na hindi namin kayang umuwi na wala naman kaming kakayanan ng pera pang-uwi. Isa sobrang tuwa po kasi kasama ko na yung baby ko. Miss ko na kasi. Tsaka gawa nga po nitong programa ng ganito po. Ang laki po talaga natutulong. Sobra-sobra pa po. Sa akin na kahit hindi na po kahit wala na pong financial basta makauwi na po ako sa amin.
Yan, alam mo, napakalaking tulong itong hatid tulong sa ating mga kababayan na kasi bigla na lang na-stranded sila dito sa Metro Manila. And then nagulat din tayo, Alex, kasi ang dami na halos gustong bumalik sa kanilang mga probinsya. Itong hatid tulong, iba po ito dun sa Balik Probinsya Program kung saan tutulungan sila ng gobyerno. Pero dahil sa marami na nga po na, sabi nga ng interview natin kanina kay PMS Assistant Secretary Joy Encabo, nagugulat din sila na ang daming dumagsa, hindi lang LSI, kundi talagang gusto na rin talagang bumalik sa kanilang probinsya na nandito na sa Maynila and then gusto nila umuwi sa kanilang probinsya. Hindi halos hindi sila LSI pero parang nakikita nila na panahon na para bumalik sila sa
alam mo naman, Yusek, ang Metro Manila, dito talagang dagsaan po mga probinsyano. Ako po'y probinsyano, ha? Alam naman ho ninyo, galing ako sa Davao. At talagang dito ho, ang main talaga ho na gusto hong mamuhay ng marangya. Pero hindi ho batid ng ilan ho natin mga kababayan, pwede ho kayong bumalik ng probinsya at doon kayo magsimula ho. Kumbaga, congested ho tayo dito sa Metro Manila. Kaya ang ilan po natin na stranded talaga ho dito. Kaya ang ginawa natin po pamalaan, ibabalik ko kayo dyan. Kaya, from macro to micro. Ngayon, responsibilidad po ito ngayon ng mga local chief executive. Nasa sa inyo pong responsibilidad para alagaan muli po ang ating po mga kababayan.
Hindi, itong hatid tulong naman, nira-rapid test naman.
Yes.
Kausap din natin, nandito si Dean, na bago sila pabalikin, at nagkakaroon naman sila ng coordination sa mga LGU. Sinabi nga ng Pangulong Duterte, tanggapin nyo. Kawawa ang mga yan, tulungan ninyo. Kasi sino ba naman tutulong sa mga na-stranded sa Metro Manila? Sino ba naman gusto na magkaroon ng COVID, saan sila pupunta?
Yes.
Wala na silang inaasahang trabaho dito, so saan sila babalik, di ba, sa kanilang probinsya?
Kaya, Doc Coronasyon, ano sa tingin ho ninyo, itong empowerment po sa local government units, it's the responsibility of the local chief executives, no? Tama ho ba yun na sila mag-alaga para hindi na ho maghanap ng ibang lugar, hindi ko stranded pa?
Tama ho yan. Kasi kung halimbawa po, iiwanan natin sa kanya-kanyang initiative ng mga na-stranded, yung pag-uwi, hindi ho nila kakayanin. Bukod sa hindi pa nga ho fully operational ang ating public transportation system, meron pa rin hong pag-iingat na ginagawa mga local government units. Hindi sila basta-basta nagpapapasok ng mga galing sa labas. Kasi nag-iingat nga rin po sila. So tama rin po yun na mayroon ugnayan na nagaganap sa pagitan ng national government at mga lokal na pamahalaan.
Opo, kasi hindi rin naman natin masisisi yung mga local leaders natin dahil kinocontain din nila yung pagkalat ng coronavirus. Bakit? Unang-una, ang kakayahan ng kanilang ospital, ang kanilang healthcare system. So, naiintindihan po natin yun. Kaya po nagiging inaayos po yung koordinasyon kasi talaga naman katulad po nung nangyari dun sa hatid tulong na maraming ang stranded dun sa Rizal Stadium na sinabi ay talaga nauulanan po kasi yung mga gustong umuwi na talagang nasa kalye, may senior citizen, may buntis. So talagang inamin naman po nila na nahirapan sila i-control. Pero ngayon daw po ay inaayos na ng technical working group ng hatid tulong yan.
Okay. So mamaya po habaan pa natin ang ating pong talakayan po with Dean Coronasyon. Sa puntong ito, makibalita muna tayo kay Daniel Manalastas live mula ho dyan sa Mataasang Pambansa. Daniel, kumusta?
Alex, Yusek Raki, isang kongresista nga ang nagpositibo sa COVID-19 swab test na isinagawa. Ito ay si Deputy Speaker Johnny Pimentel matapos niyang sumalang sa PCR testing kahapon. Bagay na personal niya ring kinumpirma sa atin. Kanina ay 20 present sa pagbubukas ng second regular session ng 18th Congress. 302 sa kabuuan ang dumalo sa unang araw ng sesyon. Ang iba ay sa pamamagitan ng video conferencing. Base sa unang inanunsyo ng Kamara, ang mga present kanina sa sesyon ay sila ring a-attend sa State of the Nation address ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte mamaya. Base sa unang inanunsyo rin, 50 lang o 50 ang pwede sa loob ng plenaryo. Mahigpit pa rin ang seguridad ay pinututupad dito sa loob at labas ng batasang pambansa. Kalata mga security personnel at kapag ikaw ay walang katibayan na sumalang sa rapid testing ay hindi ka papapasukin. Alex, Risa Grahe.
Sa iyo, Daniel Manalastas mula po dyan sa batasang pambansa.
Mabigat po na pasanin ng mga suliraning pangkalusugan bago pa man ang COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya naman isang mahalagang proyekto ang ipinatupad para makatulong sa ating mga kababayang nangangailangan ng tulong medikal. Para malaman kung ano ang mga ito, paano ito nakakatulong sa maraming Pilipino, panoorin po natin ito.
Na-diagnose po ako na may cervical cancer po. Saka diabetic din po ako. Sobrang hirap po kasi minsan po kailangan nakukonfine po ako sa ospital eh. So ang nangyayari po, naiiwan po yung mga anak namin sa bahay na wala po nagbabantay. Sila lang po. Sinasabi ko lang po na may sakit si mama, kaya doon lang sila sa bahay, huwag silang lalabas. Kasi ako, kailangan ko magpagamot para kahit pa paano hahabay po ni mama, alagaan ko pa sila.
Kwento ni Charlene, nahihirapan siya sa bayarin sa ospital at laboratorio na kailangan para masuri ang kalagayan niya. At sa katagalan ay hindi nila ito kakayanin.
Mahal po kasi sa mga laboratory ko pa lang po, sobrang napakamahal po kasi laboratory sa dugo. Minsan po kailangan ng CT scan, kailangan po ng gumagastos po talaga kami ng mga nasa 15,000 po lahat, hindi lang po yun. Every time po kasi, weekly, tuwing pupunta po ako ng doktor, kailangan po ng bagong laboratory. So kung every week po ako nasa hospital, every week din po ako dapat na may laboratory bago.
Ayon sa isang pag-aaral noong nakaraang taon, 40% ng mga Pilipino ang hindi sigurado kung may kakayahan silang bayaran ang magastusin sa ospital. Kaya malaking kaginawaan para kay Cherilyn at sa mga Pilipino ang ipinasang panukala 11463 o ang tinatawag na Malasakit Center Act of 2019. Isang proyekto ng gobyerno na handa para tugunan ang financial at medical assistance para sa mga Pilipino. Sa pagpapatayo ng malasakit centers sa mga ospital, napadali na para sa mga pasyente ang paghingi ng tulong medikal at pinansyal mula sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno.
Nung na-confine po ako, si Malasakit po yung lumapit po sa amin. Sila po mismo yung nag-reach out sa amin. So tuwing mako-confine po ako kasi wala po talaga akong binabayaran. Tapos pwede pa po akong lumapit sa mga laboratories, sa mga ultrasound, CT scan kasi mahal po siya. And then yung gamot po na pang-chemo po, sila din po ang na-shoulder lahat nun. Kung wala po yung malasakit, malamang po na hindi magiging tuloy-tuloy yung gamutan ko. Kung wala po yun, baka hindi po ako umabot sa punto na to.
Para kay Pangulong Duterte, lahat ay Pilipino, Mailonggo, Mabisaya, Matagalog, dapat makinabang. Kasi po, pera ng Pilipino yan. Pera ninyo yan, hindi namin yan pera. Ibinabalik lang namin sa inyo. Wala siyang ibang hangarin sa inyo, hindi kabutihan. Dahil mahal namin kayong mga Pilipino.
Sa ngayon, mayroon ng 74 na malasakit centers ang nasa iba't ibang panig ng Pilipinas, kung saan libu-libong Pilipino na ang natulungan sa loob pa lamang ng mahigit isang taong operasyon nito.
Kay Presidente, sobrang salamat po. Sobrang laking tulong po sa aming mamamayang Pilipino, sa aming mahihirap. Hindi niyo po masusukat kung gaano po yung pasasalamat namin sa inyo.
Hindi. Yun, malaking bagay ang malasakit centers. Well, anyway, balikan na natin si Dr. Coronacion, ang dekano ho ng University of Santo Tomas. Sa political segment po yan. Dean, unang-una, para sa kaalaman ng ating mga kababayan, ano ba ho ang kalagahan po ng State of the Nation Address o SONA?
Well, ang SONA po, traditionally, ito yung pagkakataon na binibigay sa ating Pangulo upang kausapin niya ang mga mambabatas natin, upang hikayatin ho sila kung ano yung mga batas o mga priority bills na sana ay ipasa ng mga mababatas natin alinsunod sa programa ho ng ating Pangulo. So kasi alam niyo ang sa sistema ho ng ating pamahalaan, hindi kayang gawin ng Pangulo ang lahat ng mga ninanais niyang magagandang gawin para sa ating bayan. So kinakailangan ang ilan sa mga programa niya ay transform into laws o dapat maisabatas para mapatupad ang mga ito. So,
pero din kakaiba ngayon, no? Dahil we are facing a crisis at a pandemic. Maaring yung pong una at yung pangalawa, pangatlo at pang-apat po niyang SONA, talaga nailahad-lahad na ho niya kung ano pong mga priority bills po ang gusto ho niya. Pero ngayon, anong dapat po bang lalamanin ngayon? Tungkol po ba sa COVID, how to fight COVID-19 and how we can recover dito?
Opo, inaasahan natin na ang isa sa mga importanteng babanggitin ng Pangulo ay kung paano natin patuloy na sasagupain ang problema na dulot ng COVID-19. Alam naman po natin lahat na marami nang naapektuhan at patuloy pang dumadami. So, gustong-gusto marinig ng ating mga kababayan kung paano ba ito susugpuin ng ating pamahalaan o paano mapapahinto. Although alam naman po natin na sa kasalukuyan, yung mga sinasabi na vaccine o yung mga treatment ay nasa testing stage pa naman. Kaya naintindihan ko po ang ating Pangulo na talagang mahirap naman talaga yung pinagdadaanan at yung kinakailangan maghanap ng solusyon, permanenteng solusyon sa problemang ito. Ngayon, ang isa pa pong inaasahan ng taong bayan na marinig sa ating Pangulo ay yung economic effect ng pandemya na ito. Kasi alam naman din natin na marami na wala ng trabaho at marami nagsara mga negosyo.
Yes.
So, inihintay po natin mula sa ating Pangulo sa sonang ito kung ano ang mga konkretong programa na nais niyang ihain at hingi niyan tulong ng ating mga kongresista, mga senador sa kanyang magiging solusyon patungkol sa mga economic problems na kinakaharap natin.
Pero bilang political analyst, gaano po kalaki yung influence ng sasabihin ng Pangulo para po mabigyan daan itong mga priority bills sa harap po ng ating mga mambabatas?
Malaking bagay po. Although, kagaya po ng nasabi kanina ni Sir Alex, kakaiba po itong SONA na ito kasi for the first time in history, hindi sila magkakaharap. Lahat
lang,
sila,
limitado.
Naka-online po sila at hindi po ito nangyari. So, yung pong bang physical and direct contact between the President at saka our congressmen and senators, even though hindi mangyayari yung walang ganong component ngayon na may direct contact, kinakailangan maibigay pa rin ng ating Pangulo ang kanyang mensahe kung paano nga sosolusyonan ng mga kasalukuyang problema. Importante kasi sa panahong ito, kailangan natin ng leader. At yung malinaw na vision niya kung ano ang plano niyang gawin sa mga nalalabing pang taon ng ating Pangulo.
Ang sinasabi nga ang buod daw ng mga na magiging talumpati po natin po Pangulong Duterte is more on giving hope to our Filipino brethren, no? Na kailangan dito
Kasi yun ang kailangan natin ngayon sa ngayon. Pag-asa talaga.
Kasi
bagong pag-asa.
Marami na nagiging desperado.
Yes.
Totoo po yan.
Wala ng pag-asa sa ating mga kababayan.
So paano ho yan? Based dun po sa kanyang magiging siguro direktiba sa ating po mga lawmakers, sa tingin ho ninyo, what are the priorities? Ito pong binabanggit na Bayanihan 2, which is the recovery to heal, Bayanihan to recover as one. Anong mga salient points sa kailangan po doon? Pagbibigay ho ba ng ayuda pa rin po ba, Din?
Well, sa tingin ko, dapat hindi naman mawawala yun. Dapat ipagpatuloy pa rin. Very crucial po yung pondo na manggagaling sa ating pamahalaan. Bukod po doon, sana po mapaigting rin yung pagtulong pagdating sa aspetong medikal. Kasi alam niyo marami sa mga kababayan natin ang natatakot na pumunta ngayon sa mga ospital. O kasi natatakot sila na baka mahawa sila pagpunta sa ospital. So, I hope na kagaya po nung napanood natin kanina, yung programa ni Senator Bongo, kumbaga man meron unong alternative means para magkaroon ng access sa gamot ang ating mga tao na hindi na kinakailangan pumunta pa ng ospital.
At Din, isa rin po siguro yung trabaho, no? Isa sa mga pangunahing pong programa ng ating pong gobyerno under Duterte administration, ito pong triple B, build, Dino. Magandang infrastruktura para sa mas magandang bukas at naantala po mga proyekto sa ilalim po ng build program dahil po sa mga ipinatupad po mga community quarantine. Marami pa rin pong mga mahalagang proyekto po ang natapos sa nagdaang pong taon. Ano sa tingin ninyo magiging ano po dito, Dean, in terms of work? Siguro marami pa mga proyekto naka-standby po.
Pero panoorin muna natin ito, Allen.
Sige, panoorin muna natin itong report na ito.
Taga North Caloocan po ako and ever since nung college, nagko-commute na ako. So siguro mga nasa 9 or 10 years na rin ako nagko-commute. Mahirap yung biyahe doon kasi talagang madalas traffic, madalas walang masakyan, tapos mahaba yung mga pila. Tapos ngayong pandemic, instead na may mga direct na biyahe papunta ng Cubao, ng Ortigas, sa work ko, naging limited palalo yung mga masasakyan, kaya mas naging challenging. Yun, imbis na ipapahinga mo na lang, mauubos pa yung oras mo sa pagbiyahe.
Sobrang traffic talaga yan, siksikan. Dito sa Di Aranita, Bonifacio, Di Masalang, sobrang traffic dyan. Ang problema namin dyan noon, yung mga pag nata-traffic, itong mga magnanakaw, napakarami, mga bata, matanda. Saka, pag kami naka-aksidente sa mga maliliit na sakyan, yung katulad ng motor, yan pag sumagi sa truck, lagi kami may kasalanan pagdating sa pulis.
May mga truck ban at pass-through stickers na pinapatupad ang mga LGUs dito na kadalasan ay nagiging balakid sa unhampered na delivery ng mga paarga natin. Katakot-takot na traffic din ang inaabot ng mga drivers natin sa pagdaan sa mga kalsadang ito dahil kadalasan ay kasabayan nilang dumadaan dito yung mga pampasaherong jeep, mga tricycle, at mga motorsiklo. Bukod pa dito ay may mga tao din po na bigla-biglang tumatawid ng kalsada at nagiging sanhi ng aksidente. Nakadalasan po ay isinisisi sa mga truck at ang mga trucker po ang pinananagot sa mga gastusin nito.
Malaking tulong ang pagsasaayos ng mga infrastruktura sa pamumuhay ng mga Pilipino. Inaabot ng 1 hanggang mahigit 2 oras ang nagiging biyahe mula NLEX papasok sa pier ng Maynila. Mas matagal pa kung maiipit sa matinding trapiko. Kahit na ipinatutupad ang community quarantine sa bansa, ipinagpatuloy ng Department of Public Works and Highways o DPWH ang mga proyektong pang-infrastruktura.
Nung nasa ECQ pa tayo, nag-request kami ng special authority to resume construction. Kaya tuloy-tuloy na po ang construction namin sa DPWH. Kaya sa tingin ko naman sa ating mga big ticket projects, makakahabol pa rin kami sa deadline. Halimbawa, itong Harbor Link nakakabukas lang nung 15th of June. At ngayon po, ginagamit na po ng ating mga motorista.
June 2020, binuksan ang North Luzon Expressway Harbor Link. Ito ay 2.6 km project mula sa Caloocan Interchange, C3 Road sa Caloocan City, patungo sa Regional Road 10 sa Navotas City. Extension ito ng lahat ng elevated 5.6 km Harbor Link Segment 10 na nagmumula sa Karuhatan, Valenzuela City hanggang Malabon City at Caloocan Interchange sa 5th Avenue, Caloocan City. Halos 5 minuto na lamang ang biyahe papuntang pier sa Maynila.
Napakalaking bagay na magkaroon tayo ng Skyway papuntang Road 10, yung tinatawag na Harbor Link. Nararamdaman ko na naibsan na yung traffic.
Malaking tulong din yan para sa mga commuter. Siyempre, may mga direct na pwede ng daanan, hindi ka na maiipit dun sa traffic.
Napabilis at naging maginhawa ang biyahe ng mga truck natin. Hindi kasi ito sakop ng truck bans. So, naging tuloy-tuloy ang biyahe ng mga truck natin dahil dito. Mas ligtas din ang mga biyahe ng truck dahil puro expressway na po yung mga dinadaanan nila. Sa part po rin namin ng mga tracker ay mas tumaas po ang productivity namin dahil sa malaking ginhawa at bilis ng biyahe ay hindi po gaano napapagod yung mga drivers namin sa mga biyahe nila.
Maliban dito, marami pang proyekto ang Build program sa infrastructure, flood control projects, energy facilities, social infrastructure, at maging iba pang pasilidad ng mga apektado ng COVID-19. Hangad ng DPWH na marami pang matulungan na motorista sa pagtatapos ng bawat proyekto.
Samantala, balikan naman po natin sina Aljo Bendio at Angelique Laso na nasa Batasang Pambansa. Aljo, Angelique?
Thank you. Angelique?
Ayan, maraming salamat, Yusek, Rocky and Alex. At dito nga po, bumuhos ang malakas na ulan kanina. Pero ngayon, wala na. Tumigil na ulit.
Makulimlim pa rin.
Pero makulimlim pa rin. At nag-aantaway pa rin po tayo, para sa pagdating ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte para sa kanyang SONA. In the meantime, ito rin ho ang inaabangan ng ating mga mamamayan. Yung pong mga programa ng pamahalaan na makakatulong talaga sa kanilang kabuhayan. Ang dami ho kasing nawalan ng trabaho.
Totoo yan.
Hindi naman talaga kasi pwedeng nung tayo po yung nag-initial lockdown, na hayaan natin din na nasa kalye ang mga mamamayan, ang mga kababayan natin dahil nga po sa peligro dulot ng COVID-19. Pero isang balancing act talaga ito, kabuhayan at buhay. So syempre mahalaga ang buhay, mahalaga ang kabuhayan. So yan ang wini-weigh yan ng ating pamahalaan, para masiguro naligtas tayo habang tayo ay naghahanap buhay.
Yan, so yung inaabangan natin itong economic recovery plan ng ating pong pamahalaan, And ito po yung pangalawa sa pinakahuling State of the Nation address ng Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte at unang isinailalim sa enhanced community quarantine ang buong Luzon. Pero meron pa rin tayong community quarantine ngayon. Nandito na tayo sa tinatawag na general community quarantine. Kaya nga, batay sa sinabi ni Angelique kanina, mga kababayan, marami po talagang naapektuhan ng pandemic na ito. Marami po nag-shutdown ng mga factories before, yung mga essential businesses na wala. Yung airline companies talagang apektado. Yes. And ito po ang sitwasyon sa loob mismo ngayon ng Batasang Pambansa habang inantabayanan ang pagdating ng Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Yes, and of
Makikita
course,
natin, nag-uusap si Senate President Tito Soto and Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano. Alright. So again, ito pong recovery plan ang ating inaasahan mamaya. Bilang oportunidad itong SONA, JIC, 2% itong kabuuan na overall comprehensive plan kung paano po talaga makakabangon muli and paano makakasurvive sa pandemic ang Pilipinas. Ayan, andyan na po ang dalawang helicopter ang nakikita na sa Himpapawid dito sa Batasan Pambansa Complex at inaasahan yan ay darating na ang Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Okay.
Alright. Alright, tuloy-tuloy tayo ha. So again, inaabangan natin ang pagdating ng mahal na Pangulong Duterte para sa kanyang ikalimang State of the Nation address.
Actually, may mga practices tayo, sa mga traditional practices kapag dumarating ang Pangulo dito sa Batasang Complex. Normally, in the past, sinasalubong siya ng Chief of Staff. At kasama din yan yung Sergeants of Arms. Yung pong mga sa Senado at sa Kongreso kasama rin. Eventually, somewhere along the way, lilisan na po yung Chief of Staff at magte-take over na yung mga Sergeants of Arms to indicate yung supremacy ng civil rule, ng civilian rule. So sila, sa mga nakalipas po kasi na SONA, nagtutungo sila dun sa PLLO. Yan yung Presidential Legislative Liaison Office. Kasi dyan po sa office...
Mag-deviate tayo konti dito sa prosesong yan.
Dyan kasi sa opisina na yan, yun yung pinaka-opisina ng Pangulo dito sa Kongreso. And in the past, nagpupulong po dyan ang Senate President at ang Speaker of the House, kasama po ang ilang pang mga miyembro or opisyales ng Kongreso. Dyan po sa PLLO. But of course, dahil we are on special times,
Yes.
under special circumstances, iba ho yung maaaring nating asahan mamaya paglapag po ng helicopter ni Pangulong Duterte dito po sa complex.
In fact, kanina nabasa ko nga ang isang artikulo sa online JIC that the approval itong proposed Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, itong Bayanihan 2 on the third and final reading, ang top priority ngayon ng Senado. Alam natin, ang Executive Department sa pamumuno, siyempre, ng ating pong Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ay magsasalita, no? Mag-uulat sa bayan at hingin din ang approval mismo ng mga representante, itong mga kongresista, no? Ang taong bayan mismo. The representatives, the House of Representatives, itong mga kongresista ay mga representante ng bawat distrito ng ating mga botante at ang Senado ay sa buong kapuluan. So, mapapakinggan natin mamaya kung ano pa ang nais na hingin ng Pangulong budget, lalo na no, sa pagtugod natin sa pandemyang ito at ilang pang mga programang pang-ekonomiya, hindi lang sa COVID-19. Again, itong recovery plan ang asahan natin. And siyempre, yung pagbigay pa ng karagdagang trabaho and guideposts to all agencies para po magkaroon tayo to create and implement policies para po i-restart ang ating ekonomiya.
Okay, so inyo po nakikita ang ating pong sa screen ngayon, ang paglapag na po ng helicopter kung saan ito lulan po ang ating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte.
Buti naman at nakisabay ang panahon. Kanina, napakalakas po ng buhos ng ulan, pero sandali lang, mga ilang minuto lang, di ba? 30 minutes to 45 minutes ang ulan dito po sa Batasang Pambansa.
At halos hindi mo na nga mapansin na basa yung sahig ngayon, ano, ang kalye. Okay, so maganda po yung weather ngayon. So hopefully hindi naging masyadong malikado yung paglipad.
Anyway, kanina nakita natin dito si Secretary Berna Puyat ng Department of Tourism, si Secretary Ed Anyo, Secretary Lorenzana, si Secretary Harry Roque, si Secretary Bautista ng DSWD, Secretary Lopez ng DTI, si Secretary Dar ng Department of Agriculture.
Nandyan din po si Secretary Duque, Secretary Bello ng DOLE, si Secretary Galvez, gayon din po si Cabsec Nograles, si Executive Secretary Medaldea, Secretary Guevara
ng DOJ.
Guevara ng DOJ, okay. At Secretary Dominguez and Secretary Tugade ng Department of Transportation.
Ayan na, nandiyan po. Kitang-kita natin ang aktual na pagbaba ng Pangulong Duterte. Lulan po siya ng isang helicopter. At may mga nag-a-assist sa kanya ngayon, mga kaibigan, papasok dito po sa Batasang Pambansa Complex. Kasama niya si Senator Christopher Bongo. Okay, and some personnel coming from the Presidential Security Group, mga PSG. Napagkaigtig po ng protocols ngayon dito sa Batasang Pambansa. Again, yung mga nakapag-swab test na siguro ay yung ibang mga secretaries.
Yung mga nasa loob na
nakapag-swab test na sila.
Nauna po yung pag-swab test sa kanila. Lahat po kasi ng mga guests na talaga makakasama sa loob ng plenary session ay si nag-swab test na a few days ago dahil yung results niyan mga 2 to 3 days. Yung mga nagpa-rapid test kanina ay ang mga nandito po sa labas ng session hall.
So, papasok na po ng mismo sa plenary hall ang Pangulong Duterte. Again, hindi po natin susundin yung mga nakagawing tradisyon ng State of the Nation Address dahil napaka-unique ang SONA 2020 because of the pandemic itong COVID-19.
Yes, and nabanggit nga ito na this is a blended type of SONA rin.
To announce the arrival of President Rodrigo
Roa Duterte.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Please rise for the nation's prayer.
Makapangyarihang Allah.
Makapangyarihang Ama.
Makapangyarihang Ama.
Makapangyarihang Ama. May gawa ng langit at lupa. Bagamat kayo ang kataas-taas sa ngalan, kayo naman ang aming Diyos, na lubusang makabagin, at ang inyong kabaitan ay walang hanggan.
Buong pagpapakumbaba kaming lumalapit at humihingi ng inyong kapatawaran sa aming mga pagkakasala sa isa't isa, sa aming pagwawalang bahala, sa kalikasan at sa iba pa ninyong mga nilikha.
Hilumin ninyo kami ang aming mga karagatan at mga kagubatan, marapatin na muling maging daliwan ng inyong mga biyaya.
Sapagkat kayo ay patuloy na namamayani sa lahat, maging sa salot na aming kinatatakutan.
Tulungan ninyo kami na mahanap ang lunas sa laganap ng pagdurusa. Mangusap sa bawat puso namin, muling ipadama sa amin ang inyong pag-aadya.
Patatagin ninyo ang mga kumakalinga sa mga may sakit, ang mga patuloy na nangangailangan sa amin, gantipalaan at pagpalain ang mga tumutulong sa nangangailangan, nang sila ay patuloy na tumatalima sa inyong pahiwatig. Itinatalaga namin sa inyong patnubay ang aming Pangulo.
Mga namumuno sa pamahalaan at pribadong sektor.
Pagbuklo rin kami sa pagharap sa mga hamong darating.
Nang may pag-asa at katatagan ng pananampalataya.
Sa dulot ninyong laya at tagumpay.
Sapagkat kayo ang aming dakila at kaunahang Panginoon, at ang inyong kaharian ay walang hanggan. Ipinagkatiwala sa inyo ang aming bayan, sa inyong pagmamahal, hinihiling ang aming kaligtasan. Siya nawa.
Please remain standing for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit may dilagang tula at awit sa pagdaya minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niyang kanan, pag may di magdidilim. Lupa na ayat
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of Congress, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Kindly Senate President Vicente Soto III and the honorable members of the Senate, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano and the honorable members of the House of Representatives, Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo, former Presidents Joseph Ejercito Estrada and Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta and the Justices of the Supreme Court, His Excellency Munter Mahfoud Salim Almantre, and the esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, Executive Secretary Salvador Mindaldia, and the members of the Cabinet, mga mahal kong kababayan. We live
in a troubled time. Our dream of prosperity for our country was suddenly snuffed by a pandemic virulent virus. No nation was spared. Neither rich nor poor were exempt from the onslaught of this deadly disease. But let us not despair. The vaccine is around the corner. Sooner and not later, the virus that gobbled up thousands of lives will itself be laid to rest. In the meantime, let us express the nation's gratitude to those who courageously and willingly put their lives on the line to serve the people and country. We share the griefs of their families, and no amount of tears can compensate their great losses. My countrymen, it is sad that while government focuses its attention resources to battle the coronavirus, there are those who take advantage of a preoccupied government. One of them is Senator Frank Dillon. In an interview, he arrogantly mentioned, among others, that oligarchs need not be rich. Then he linked the anti-dynasty system with oligarchy, and the topic was my daughter and son. This happened after the Committee of Franchise voted 70-11 to deny the grant of franchise to ABS-CBN. Obviously, he was defending the Lopezes, that they are not oligarchs. Great wealth enabled economic elites and corporations to influence public policy to their advantage. Media is a powerful tool in the hands of oligarchs like the Lopezes, who use their media outlets in their battles with political figures. I am a casualty of the Lopezes during the 2016 election. The dealers and purveyors of illegal drugs, hiding in the shadow of COVID-19, have stepped up their activities. The amount of shabu valued at millions of pesos seized during police operations speak volumes of the enormity and the weight of the problem that we bear. The corrupt, the grafters, and the influence peddlers also take advantage of their fear and confusion that coronavirus generates the financial and material assistance of government to the unemployed, the sick and the destitute, running into billions of pesos, are not spared from corruption and ineptitude. Even the donations for well-meaning private persons are schemed before reaching their intended beneficiaries. It is like snatching food from the mouths of the babes. The profiteers, overpricers, and the corrupt felons must be laughing while they stash their dirty monies, but not for long. They cannot outrun the long arm of the law. In these regards, the words of former President Ramon Magsaysay ring fresh and relevant today as the day they were said decades ago. He said, "We need men of integrity and faith like Rizal and Del Pilar, men of action like Bonifacio, men of inflexible patriotism like Mabini. We need their zeal, their self-reliance, and their capacity to work, their devotion to service, and their ability to lose themselves in the common cause of building a nation. If we allow greed and self-interest and ambition to rule us, then, as stated by one prominent physician, we will be left with nothing better than the lesser evil instead of the greater good. In my inaugural address 4 years ago, I said that no leader can succeed at anything of national importance without significance unless he has the cooperation and support of the people he is tasked to lead and sworn to serve. The efforts and resources which we poured out produced the momentum needed to bring our country closer to our goals. Suffice it to say, we made significant strides over time. Over 4.3 million poor families benefited from the Pantawid Pamilya. Over 92.2 million beneficiaries received subsidies under the unconditional cash transfer program. We also made available tertiary education and universal health care. Public utility drivers were given assistance to the Pantawid Pasada program. There are complaints that some drivers did not receive any assistance at all. I have directed the SWD and DILG to look into this. I welcome the passage of the law postponing the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections. The postponement saved much needed government funds and ensured the implementation of projects under the current barangay officials. In the hindsight, it also saved us from holding the polls while we dealt and continued to deal with the pandemic. The Malasakit Centers Act has proven to be a great help to our less fortunate citizens needing medical services through one-stop platform in government hospitals. We commend the initiative and work of Senator Bongo in this regard, as well as other significant pieces of legislation as of today. There are 75 Malasakit centers serving Filipinos all over the country. These centers will be of great help in ensuring that our people remain healthy and resilient during these challenging times. The Salary and Standardization Law of 2019 increases the salaries of civilian government workers. I hope that this law will inspire our government workers to perform better and encourage young, brilliant citizens to join public service. I appreciate the law of establishing the National Academy of Sports. We can now give our deserving student athletes the training and the support they need to excel in their chosen field of endeavors. With the commitment of key members of Congress, the Executive Department, the FISGOC, or the Philippine Sports Commission, and the Philippine Olympic Committee are bound together with one vision to host the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Our athletes prevailed. More than that, we fostered pride, patriotism, genuine sportsmanship, and camaraderie in our South Asian brothers and sisters. Indeed, we won as one. To our business community and the general public, we assure you that the landmark ease of doing business and efficient government service delivery act has been gaining momentum. We are closer to eliminating over-regulation in government services. Frontline processes, including consular services, processing of building and business permits, and the services of overseas Filipinos and seafarers were streamlined. Passports and driver's license validity were lessened to ease the burden of the public. We received a BBB plus credit rating despite ASEAN credit rating downgrades and negative outlook revisions worldwide. The Japan Credit Rating Agency upgraded us from BBB plus to A minus last month. Meanwhile, Moody's has affirmed and maintained the country's ratings at Baa2 rather. To understand, because with the light I have mine eyesight is not as good as new. Our fiscal position is strong, our economic fiscal management prudent, and our banking system robust. We are in a better position to weather the crisis caused by COVID-19 global pandemic. We have accomplished significant infrastructure projects under the Build program. I will not dwell lengthily on the nitty-gritty of our infrastructure accomplishments. Now, lest I bore you. Instead, we will release a comprehensive written report of our collective milestones and the details of accomplishments that remind us that perseverance, patience, determination will help us move forward even in the most difficult times. We issued last year the Executive Order number 100, establishing the Diversity and Inclusion Program as national program of the government. We want to end discrimination of persons on the basis of age, disability, ethnicities, sexual orientation, and gender identity and expression, and other character traits. My administration always believed that freedom from illegal drugs, terrorism, corruption, and criminality is itself a human right violation. Part of our efforts to uphold human rights is protection of the rights of children and the right against discrimination. Early last year, I signed Executive Order number 92, creating the National Council Against Child Labor. government efforts to protect the rights of children will be amplified to prevent, reduce, and eliminate any form of child labor. Our achievements along this line will have been extolled by an overwhelming number of fellow member states in the UN Human Rights Council during its recently held 44th session last June. Rest assured that we will not dodge our obligation to fight for human rights. My countrymen, there are lessons to be learned from the coronavirus pandemic. It jolted us to realize that gains made after spending so much planning, effort, cost, and time could diminish considerably and quickly for reasons beyond one's anticipation. That it is much easier to destroy than build. That in a crisis of national proportion that affects every aspect of human life, government needs to have the support and cooperation of the people if it is to succeed in battling the cause of that crisis. That there are people who ask for compassion but show none themselves. That life, after all, is fickle, like the weather. The gains we achieved with the first 3.5 years were put to a test when the pandemic suddenly struck the global community. While I am aware that the road towards a comfortable life would all be far easy if the pandemic had not occurred, and around the rest of the world we suffered. The global scale and socio-economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic has been unprecedented. Yet, in the throes of its global health emergency, we have been able to withstand the headwinds generated by this coronavirus. In this regard, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who made possible the steady supply of food, water, basic utilities of our households. And the provisions of basic social services and financial assistance to our people. Our profound gratitude goes to everyone who helped keep our country's food supply chain running. The valiant soldiers, policemen, and security guards who kept peace and order in our community. The dedicated personnel who kept our essential establishment operational. You showed us kindness and selflessness. You gave us strength. You risked your own lives to serve the greater good in keeping the Filipino spirit of bayanihan. I also thank the men and women of the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases and the National Task Force Against COVID-19 for all the countless hours it spent to keep the pandemic in check and for all the efforts it made to ensure the safety of our people. Let me also recognize the efforts of the local government units that step up and initiated their own response measures to contain effects of COVID-19 and its impact to their constituents have been impact to its constituents. The shadow says it's a period there. I know exactly the difficulties you are undergoing. I pray that the officials of each LGU in our country, from the barangay to the autonomous regions, would set aside partisan politics and selfish interests to do what is right and good for all. Likewise, I likewise issued Executive Order Number 104, which imposed ceilings on retail prices of at least 133 drugs and medicines, and directed a continuous review of the retail prices of others. This proved to be providential now that we are facing a pandemic. To everyone who helped us in this time of great need, maraming salamat po. Let me say that the strength of a nation rests in the hands of the people acting as one with government. In the pursuit of common goals and objectives, when the pandemic struck, I decided to prioritize life over other considerations according to experts. The intervention that the government had put in place prevented as much as 1.3 to 3.5 million infections. To me, even if the numbers were much lower, it would still be and would have been worth the sacrifice we made. Buhay muna bago lahat. We initially encountered difficulties ramping up our testing capacity. We now have 93 accredited testing laboratories nationwide, and we are aiming to conduct 1.4 million tests by end of July and ensure a quick turnaround time of 48 to 72 hours. Under the Social Amelioration Program, we allotted 2.5 billion or to 2.5 billion for poor and low-income households who were affected during this pandemic, who thrive on a no work, no pay arrangement. Admittedly, our implementation of the Social Amelioration Program was not perfect, and some opportunists turned crisis into opportunity. We will catch up with you sooner than you think. We came up with the COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, extended financial assistance to over 650,000 affected individuals in the formal sector. 110 OFWs abroad and almost 83,000 repatriated OFWs were also provided temporary wage employment to displace marginal workers through the TUPAD project. Our indigent senior citizens were also provided with a stipend for the rest of the semester of the year current year. This health emergency stretched government's resources to its limits. In response to the Office of the President, worked closely with Congress for the quick passage of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. May I again reiterate my thanks to you, the men and women of Congress, for the effort you invested in passing that law. I hope that we can get some or the same treatment of clarity, purpose, and the fastness to support the passage of the Biennial Recovery to act as one, which is supplement funds for recovery and response against the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. We must facilitate the country's economic recovery. I call on Congress to fast-track the passage of the proposed measure, such as the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives Enterprises or CREATE Act. This immediately cuts the corporate income levy from the current 30 to 25% and give government flexibility to grant a combination of fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, among others. The Financial Institutions Strategic Transfer, or First Act, will set up mechanisms allowing banks and other financial institutions to dispose of and transfer non-performing assets and loans to asset management companies similar to the special purpose vehicles. Our economic managers have seen infrastructure investment as an effective tool to help spur high growth, attract investments, create jobs, and achieve financial inclusion for all Filipinos. The DBP has resumed the construction of the North Luzon Expressway Harbor Link, the NLEX SLEX connector, the Cavite-Laguna Expressway, the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3, the R1 Bridge Project, the Tarlac-Pangasinan-La Union Expressway Project, and the Subic-Freeport Expressway Project, to name a few. To realize the maximum benefit from the country's investments, the infrastructure projects under the Build, Build, Build program, which are labor and capital intensive, are not mere springboard to the country's swift recovery pandemic. They are economic benefits to be distributed to all corners of the country and push sustainable stability in the urban centers, particularly Manila. The TESTA launched online mode of livelihood and skills training. There are 71 free online training to help upskill trainees for the right opportunities. I asked TESDA to come up with special training programs to retool our OFWs so they can find employment opportunities here and at home. I am also calling on the CHED for scholarship programs for the qualified dependents of our OFW. I direct the Department of Agriculture and DTI to come up with the agribusiness and entrepreneurship projects to help displaced OFWs rebuild their livelihood. Further, I ask the Land Bank and other government financial institutions to continue providing low-interest loans to our OFW. Sa mga kababayan ko na naghihirap sa ibang bansa, nandito na ang inyong gobyerno para matulungan kayo at inyong mga pamilya, lalo na sa panahong ito. The government will intensify its efforts to help businesses, especially micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, by providing responsive government assistance and services capitalization and business operation support as we adapt to the next normal. Nananawagan po ako sa ating mga lessors. Nananawagan po ako sa ating mga lessors. Malasakit at bayanihan po ang sana ang ipairalin natin ngayon. This is not the time to drive away laces. During normal times, they were the primary source of your income stream. Now, it's time to be fair and compassionate. Come up with an amenable arrangement with your tenants. Huwag po natin silang pagtabuyan, tanggalin ang tubig, kuryente at bubong. Commercial establishments are requested to give grace periods to allow deferment of payments, especially for MSMEs that were forced to close down during the quarantine period. Let us help them recover. We pump prime the recovery and rehabilitation of the MSMEs. The DTI to the Small Business Corporation set up the Philippine 1 billion COVID assistance to restart enterprises or CARES program to provide zero-interest loans for MSMEs affected by the pandemic as of July 10, 2020. Over 2,600 loans applications worth more than 182.5 million have been approved. We are optimistic that this initiative will help our MSMEs stabilize and recover from their losses. I also enjoin the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and the banks operating in the country to provide regulatory relief for our MSMEs and allow loan payment extension without incurring penalties and charges. We need your help to prevent the collapse of companies saddled with accumulated amortization and payables caused by closure of their businesses at the height of the strict quarantine periods. As we embark on this effort towards inclusive recovery, we should acknowledge that all forms of government support will go to naught if the new MSMEs do not thrive because of lack of consumer support. Ito ang panahon para suportahan natin ang ating mga kababayan na nagnegosyo at gumawa ng mga produktong sariling atin. In the same manner, in tourism and recreation industries, which are among the hardest hit by the pandemic, count on our full support while we slowly try to put the fun back in your local travels. The national government agencies and LGUs must harmonize their policies to boost tourism, ensuring everyone's well-being. We enjoin our people to help boost the economy by traveling locally. Local na lang. Once the necessary system are in place. The DOST offers its enterprise technology upgrading program to to enable businesses to access training that will help them transition to online and contactless operation. Now more than ever, we need to protect our consumers. I direct the Department of Trade and Industry to ensure the empowerment of Filipinos on consumer rights and coordinate strategies between public and private organizations in building a fair, safe, resilient, and sustainable economy. There are welcome developments for commerce and industry, but major economic activities take place in borderless environment with the meager regulatory controls. They expose consumers to various risks related to security, data, privacy, and misrepresentation. We must patrol the country's cyberspace and enforce online consumer and data protection and privacy laws. We must run after online scammers and those undermining the people's trust on the online transactions. We must continue to protect Filipinos in the normal and remind the world that we are responsible stewards of data. I am committed to protect both physical and digital lives of our law-abiding countrymen. The national government shall lead the way in our transition to online systems. I reiterate my call for all government instrumentalities to implement systems that shall make physical queuing a thing of the past. Panahon na para mawala na ang pila para mapagsilbihan ang gobyerno ng walang kahirapan para sa tao. The DILG, DBM, and the ARTA, along with all agencies and instrumentalities of government, are hereby directed to make full possible services available online. We need to adjust and adapt a paperless type of business and work performance. We need e-governance our people with the services they need and the comfort of their homes in the workplaces. It will enable us bureaucracy to better transition into the new normal and cut red and minimize red tape. Until the COVID-19 vaccine is available, I will not allow the traditional face-to-face teaching or learning unless the risk of exposure to the sickness are eliminated. I cannot and will not put to rest the health and lives of our students and teachers. About 2 weeks ago, I seem to have said that I would allow the face-to-face classes to resume. But we were talking actually of January, because my thinking is that by September we would have the vaccine. How to get it from the producers or from other governments is really something which we have to deal with, because everyone, it's a global need, and everyone will go for it. But let me just mention it in passing that about 4 days ago, I made a plea to President Xi Jinping that if they have the vaccine, can they allow us to be one of the first, or if it is needed, if we have to buy it, that we will be granted credit so that we can normalize as fast as possible. Life that is lost is lost forever. Causes that are not substantial can be supplemented. Education that is delayed can be recovered. We must implement online learning, modular learning, and TV and radio-based broadcasts, which students coming from different backgrounds can avail. DepEd will provide the printed modules for those who cannot afford online learning. In support of the Learning Continuity Program through blended learning, we plan to increase the number of schools with ICT equipment in the coming months. The DepEd and the DITC are building up the public education network or PEN that will connect all public schools and DepEd offices nationwide. We will prioritize the connection of all last-mile schools and those with no electricity supply can have it via satellite and energized via solar panels. By 2022, before I step down, the PEN shall be realized. I'm referring to the program. I will do it. TV frequencies reverted back to government for whatever cause or reason shall not be used exclusively to the exclusion of other persons or other dummies to cope up with the demand of the next normal. This will be used to provide uninterrupted quality education to our children in our shift to e-learning. I am directing Secretary Guevara, Secretary De La Peña, and Secretary Onasan, in collaboration with Secretary Briones and Secretary Abisado, together with Secretary Dominguez, to come up with an integrated program and implementation mechanism to ensure that these TV frequencies are fully utilized by government through the facilities of the PTV4 for the utmost benefit of the Filipino people. Let me just allow me to segue a little bit. For the remaining 2 years of my term, all that is good that belongs to government, whether it be the airwaves, whether it be the lines, or whatever that is good for the people, will belong to the government, and it should be government who should be given the first option to utilize them. Ang sobra kanila. I call on our communication companies to improve their services lest we be forced to take drastic steps to address the less than deal service that the public is getting from you. Alam mo, sisingit na lang ako dito. I am sometimes you are a government pictured to be weak and incompetent because we cannot really force our mandate. Alam mo itong nagbibigay ng mga public services, you better improve. Huwag naman ninyo kaming pahintayin 10 taon bago kami makakamit ng mga services that the other countries are enjoying. If it's just a question of added capitalization or the infusion of money, go and look for it. Maghanap kayo, because if you are not ready to improve, I might just as well close all of you and we revert back to the line telephone. At kukunin ko yan, i-expropriate ko sa gobyerno. Alam mo itong I'll be straight. Smart. Pati itong Globe. Ilang taon na ito? At ang sagot palagi sa akin, the party cannot be reached. Nasaan pala pumunta yung yawa na yun? Kung ganun lang naman ibigay ninyo sa amin, we are a republic, a sovereign country. Bear that in mind, because the patience of the Filipino people is reaching its limit. At I will be the one to articulate the anger of the Filipino people. And you might not want what I intend to do with you. Kindly improve the services before December. I want to call Jesus Christ to Bethlehem. Better have that line cleared. Alam sa totoo ang adre na po, na ako sa inyo. I have been a citizen of this country and parang nilalaro lang ninyong, kayong may pera. Puta. May pera kayo? Negosyo kayo. Wala kayong pera, putang, umalis kayo dito. You know, you give us half deals, half cooked transactions, lousy service. Tapos ang tao nagbabayad. Tell us now if you cannot really improve on it, because I will work by December. I have 2 years. The next 2 years will be spent improving the telecommunications of this country. Without you, I will find a way. I will talk to Congress and find a way how to do it. Last year, I said that distributing economic business activities is imperative to our country's sustained and equitable growth. Today, I reiterate that statement. I issued Administrative Order Number 18, directing concerned agencies to strengthen the development of special economic zones in areas outside Metro Manila. I also issued Executive Order Number the same, 114, to institutionalize the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program. This consolidates and refocuses existing economic and social welfare programs, activities and projects toward the countryside. It is also an international agency council headed by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdia, which will create a framework for the effective implementation of the project. Kung hindi ninyo ako naiintindihan sa sinabasa ko, mas lalo ako. In 2021, we aim to increase access to healthcare services by continuously hiring and deploying more than 20,000 health professionals. This will augment health workforce in LGUs, particularly in isolated and disadvantaged areas. We will implement projects to establish and improve barangay health stations, rural health units, and other healthcare facilities. And we will need to address internal security. We are pursuing a whole-of-the-nation approach to bring peace and order, development in the countryside. We need to provide intervention and implement the Barangay Development Program. This will provide cleared and threatened communities. This refers to a program where the armed forces would play a vital role in the one nation approach. This is what it's meant by this. And that every agency of the government, including the armed forces of the Philippines, should participate. And I am aware of the skirmishes and the assassination of our soldiers. And I said, correct this so that we can proceed with the barangay implementation as fast as possible. We have made significant strides in the past 4 years, but we need the support of local government leaders. We need your help to implement the Barangay Development Program. Certain sectors expressed concern when I declared martial law in Mindanao and its extension 3 times. But 2019 ended without my office requesting any further extension. Martial law in Mindanao ended without abuses by the civilian sector, by the police, by the military. It ended because this time I know that they know how to love the country. I thank Congress for the support to these administration programs. Congress has been very productive, but much more remains to be done. You know, actually, my speech, if you followed it carefully, it's all a plea to Congress to do this, to do that, to make a law or craft a whatever. And this one, I strongly urge Congress to pass a law establishing the Department of Overseas Filipinos solely on addressing the concerns of Filipinos abroad and their families. I reiterate this swift passage before this. Kawawa kasi itong ating mga overseas. If it's only an office there in the Labor Department, they are overworked or for whatever reason, their needs, their pleas are not really attended to with dispatch. and with care. Yung OFW, pati itong ano ngayon, ito yung sinabi ko kanina, I will go for it. We will need it to help them. I reiterate the swift passage of a law reviving the death penalty by lethal injection for crimes specified under the Comprehensive Dangerous Act of 2002. I did not hear so much clapping, so I presume that they are not interested. Wala kang... Someday I'll tell you the story of what happened to the Philippines. Hindi ngayon. But when sabihin ko sa inyo ang totoo, bakit nagaganito yung droga ng Pilipinas? Why the drug syndicates continue to operate just like the countries of Colombia, Mexico, and it is being played inside the national penitentiaries. Para tayong talagang binababoy tayo ng malon. Sabihin ko sa inyo. But this is not a time for storytelling. Suna kasi ito. So, dito na. This law will not only help us deter criminality, but also save our children from the dangers posed by the illegal and dangerous drugs. May I be allowed with the indulgence of the body? Itong bakit talaga ako galit sa droga. Let us make this a semi-formal speech. Alam mo kasi, 5 pamilya members, o 6 or 7, pagka bumagsak yung tatay to drugs, the family crumbles. There's no more home to. Druga, and if he's receiving his salary, nagtatrabaho sa pantalan, 300 a day. Tapos ang shabu is sold at 2. He has about 100 to bring home. Kaya pagka gano'n, nag-aaway-aaway na, ang mga bata hindi nakapag-aral, ang iba ligaw na mga babae into early prostitution, kung ano-ano nangyari. Hindi lang alam nitong mga na this is happening all over the country every day. And what is really very tragic is this. When the family starts to crumble, just the more family home. And invariably, the wife would look for another husband, would look for a job, usually easily doon sa abroad. At yung asawa, aalis, yung lalaki na sa droga, yung mga anak iniiwan sa kapitbahay, sa kapatid. And the ferocity of the loss of the Filipino family home has been destroyed. Kaya kung anong mangyari nito, the wife works in the Middle East. I am not zeroing on any particular country, mind you. But alam natin, there are tribes in the Middle East which would allow rape as part of the territory of being a house help. Kasama yan. Kasama talaga yan. So yan ang mahirap dyan. You have a wife there being crucified, being used, magpadala ng pera, tapos ang mga anak, asan nasa Cebu na rin. Kasi these are the guys that the Cebu people would really, stick by them until it crumbles, the resistance. And then you have plenty of this all over the country. Hindi lang nila alam. Yung sinasabi nila ng misery sa itong human rights, plus 10 yan. Not to count the victims of crimes perpetrated by people addicted to Cebu. That is the reason why I'm so vicious in my galit talaga ako. Kasi nilalaroan tayo. Well, I don't know. Any other president might, pero ako ayaw kong lalaroan ng Pilipino. Do not do it in my country because I will really kill you. That is a commitment. Owning safe, decent, and affordable housing is every Filipino's dream. But the housing market remains inaccessible to most of our countrymen. I renew my call for Congress to pass the National Housing Development Bill and the Rental Housing Subsidy Bill. These will enable all Filipinos, regardless of social status, to live in decent homes where their families can lead meaningful lives. I also call on Congress to amend Republic Act number 10912 for the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. In this time of great pandemic and forthcoming reconstruction requiring professionals to undergo seminars is burdensome and not realistic. This must end. Ito pang isa. May mga profession. Singit ko na lang lahat to tell this is to inform the nation. May mga profession na they would require, I think it's the nicest, they would require them to come to Manila to retrain and for another round of expenses. Itong mga seminar na ito dapat mahinto. I don't know in other provinces, but during my time sa barangay expeditions ng mga opisyal, hininto ko rin yan. And which reminds me, I will act on this also in due time. We hail our health professionals as heroes. Now is the time to pass the Advanced Nursing Education Act and the law instituting the Medical Reserve Corps. COVID-19 will not only be the last pandemic. We need to create National Disease Prevention Management Authority to better respond to future outbreaks. We count on Congress support. You can just let it remain for a while in the Department of Health kung wala pang pera, but you have to expand the services. It would also entail a little bit of money, but not really as much as expensive when you set up a department. In the long term, we are looking into the creation of the National Disease Prevention and Management Authority to better prepare for the pandemics, protect lives, and allow development to proceed even in the worst of times. We are counting on the full support of Congress for this critical, important endeavor. I don't know, but I leave it to Congress to really. It's another department. There seems that it could be a multi-layer, redundant thing between the health and the proposed department. I call on Congress to prioritize the passage of a law for the unified system of separation, retirement, and pension, and of the military and uniformed personnel, without, however, diminishing the benefits that our uniformed personnel are entitled to under existing laws. There is a need to adjust the pension system, which will be applicable only to the newly hired uniformed personnel, so as not to cause a ballooning effect against the budget of the military in the years to come, and yet maintain the pension benefits those already in service under the present law. This issue needs a solution now. Umpisa natin ngayon para hindi na maging problema sa sunod na mga taon. I want to, one of the, this is not politicking, I am not running, I cannot run anymore. Yung dinoble ko yung sweldo ng police pati army, it was really a clarion call para for them also to have a decent life, and that they're able to get the things which ordinarily cannot be reached by any government employee. Ang akin doon is yung corruption. That maybe it might be a vain attempt, but maybe dagdagan ng sweldo para it would be a hedge against corruption. We must also modernize the Bureau of Fire Protection and the Bureau of Immigration with urgency. Alam mo, sa Davao, and if you go there, I can show you, one of the serviceable trucks, fire trucks, that we have in the city of Davao. Of course, ang city meron ng sarili, aside from the Bureau of Fire, which is really national. Meron yung Bureau of Fire, would you believe it, serviceable still. Ang pangalan ng truck is Studebaker. Ang katawan, ang talagang matatag ang katawan. Kaya ang makina isuso. Pero okay pa rin. It can put out. But totoo. This is how this Bureau of Fire issue medyo na overlook natin ng matagal. I emphasize the creation of the Department of Disaster Resilience and our people's safety, which cannot be delegated to any council or commission. Equally important is the establishment of evacuation center in every city, province, municipality throughout the country. We must act before another major disaster shakes into action. Problem is, disaster, and even a fire. This cannot be made a study for projection when the earthquake would suddenly come and make a big crack there. Di natin alam talaga. Ang ibig kong sabihin, this will require more than just one brain work kung paano talaga itong how to prevent or avoid disaster. It would be, by the way, just before starting, I was tempted to say it, pero baka magtindigan kayo. It will be all right for me if Bongo will just stay. Wala akong problema. Sabi ko na this piece of speech of mine would be one of the longest sonas that I will deliver. Nakita ko yung page pagbigay sa akin, yung ibang input akin, pati yung libalak lahat. Ang nangyari po, binalik ko sa kanila. Make it short. Pagbalik sa akin, mas makapal na. Nandyan na ngayon. Ito na ngayon. The responsible extraction and equitable distribution of natural resources remain among my non-negotiables. I reiterate the need for the passage of a national Land Use Act, which has been pending for decades. Pakisilip lang ho ninyo yan. For the rest of my term, I hope to see concerted efforts in protecting the environment. The rehabilitation of Boracay Island showcased our resolve to safeguard the environment. Boracay is doing well because of its scenery. If it's only a coconut and a black sand, a white sand and water, wala yan. Pero you add the visitors there, then it becomes a very tempting destination. We have seen remarkable emergence of the island back to its former glory. I want this sustained. I ask Congress to enact a law creating, importante ito, the Boracay Island Authority, or BIDA. We need it. I cannot stress enough the importance of agriculture. The growth of our economy depends on a robust agricultural sector. We must utilize the coconut, we must utilize the coconut levy for the welfare of our coconut farmers and the development of our coconut industry. I urge everybody, both of the executive department, pati ito, that ito yung pera na nakuha doon sa sequester, and itong perang malaking ito, gagamitin ito for the welfare of the farmers. The problem is, we can no longer trace who are the farmers of yesterday. Marcos is a distant star. We do not know. Ako alam ko because we had a little piece also that was covered by the land reform. Hindi na natin malaman kung sino ang may-ari. So I think Congress should look again and try to sort out how best the money can be utilized. I will not make any suggestion, but I leave it to Congress to decide what to do with it. I once again urge both houses of Congress to pass a version of the bill establishing the Coconut Farmers Trust Fund. Tulungan natin ang ating mga magsasaka pagka hindi mawawala yung pera, bilyon yan. Diyos ko po. Well, anyway, we have learned so many lessons along the way. I am also requesting Congress to pass the Rural, Agricultural and Fisheries Development Financing System Act. We aim to provide adequate, accessible, and affordable food for every Filipino through the Plant program. After the build, I think this is easier to achieve. A few good men, few good regional directors at DAR, and dedicated workers down below could make this thing a success. Mas madali ito kaysa build. Ito plant lang eh. It is more of how you try to convince the farmers to cooperate government for their benefit. This 66 billion agricultural stimulus package will help the agricultural and fisheries sector recover. I hope so. We need to build trust and confidence in online transactions, stronger protection on online consumers, and enabling measures for online business needed through the enactment of an Internet Transaction Act. This is very good. I thus direct the Department of Trade and Industry and other relevant agencies to work on it closely with Congress, ensuring that the provisions of the proposed bill are responsive to the needs of the consumers while promoting the growth of e-commerce in the country. If you are tired of clapping, you just say so I can make a shortcut. Pabilisan lang. On the path of better governance, we travel with other partners, both old and new, have helped bolstering the antiquated public health system, for bringing home a load of Filipinos overseas, for filling in supply gaps for crucial medical supplies and equipment and staple food. For these and many more, the Philippines thanks all friendly nations. We will never forget your kindness and your timely support. Within ASEAN and beyond the Philippines, we will continue to work with partners to address global perils and ramp up cooperation to secure for our peoples greater peace, progress, and prosperity. The Filipino nation claims its rightful place in a community of sovereign states. Thus, we will continue to pursue an independent foreign policy. Let me be very clear about this. I got my prepared speech. Alam mo, I read a little over 3 weeks or last month na the Americans intends to go back to Subic. I'll just put on record my thoughts. I have nothing against America. I have nothing against China. But if you put bases here, you double the spectacle of a most destructive thing. Just like Manila during the Second World War, during the retaking of this city, it was one of the most devastated cities in the world. Kaya maglagay-lagay ka ng base at this time. This will ensure, if war breaks out, because there would be atomic arsenals brought in, this will ensure the extinction of the Filipino race. We work without fail to protect our rights in the South China Sea, neither beholden nor a pawn to anyone. We broaden the boundaries of Philippine diplomacy. We build productive ties with everyone willing to engage us on the basis of equality and mutual respect. And we redefined our relationships with our most important partners, placing the country in a far better position to advance our interests in an evolving regional order and emerging global problems. Now, plenty of critics, both sides, claim about nothing has been done to retake forcefully or physically the South China Sea. Alam mo, unless we are prepared to go to war, I would suggest that you better just call off and treat this, I said, with the diplomatic endeavors. China is claiming it. We are claiming it. China has the arms. We do not have it. So, it's simple as that. They are in possession of the property. You remember property, you're a lawyer, property rights. They are, it has nothing to do with the Philippine laws on property, but it's akin to, they are in possession. So what can we do? We have to go to war. And I cannot afford it. Maybe some other president can, but I cannot. Inutil ako dyan, sabihin ko sa inyo. And I'm willing to admit it. Talagang inutil ako dyan. Walang magawa. I cannot. The moment I send my Marines there at the coastal shores of Palawan, tinamaan ng cruise missile lahat yan. Hindi pa nga naka-set sail yan eh. Sabog na. Let me see again that the victory in a global battle against COVID-19 would take longer than we expect. Everyone's cooperation is needed. I know that you have, the Filipino people, have sacrificed a lot, but we have no other choice but to work together and to do even more. I must admit that our actions have been far from perfect. Totoo yan. I admit it. And there could be improvements here and there. But all of us in government, including myself, assure you that we will not stop until we get things right and better for you. I know that many of you are worried not only about health and safety, but also about our ability to move around and ride public transportation. The depletion of your savings due to the rising cost of goods and the loss of your incomes due to uncertainties in your jobs and livelihood, I assure you that your government will address squarely these problems and challenges to overcome them and proceed to a new normal. Marami ho talagang mawawalaan ng those for a middle income. They buy a car on installment basis. You cannot keep up with the amortization. You lose it. You lose the car. And you are forced to ride on public utilities. Concomitantly, didiretso rin itong mga kriminal na rarami at crimes will increase. But let me assure you, for as long as I am president, there can never be a runaway crime in any of our cities. Hindi ako papayag naman. I can assure you, we will remain peaceful. Relatively peaceful. Hindi naman very peaceful. Pero kung sabihin mo na kagaya ng hold up dito, hold up, alam naman nila kung anong mangyari. You know what will happen to you. I am addressing myself to the criminals. You commit hold-ups, you commit rape, you commit all sorts of things, and you harm the public, then kaaway mo na ako. Pag bumalik kayo sa dati, kagaya noon, patong-patong na naman ang patay dito. Sigurado, hahanapin ko kayo. Do not ever go back to your old ways. Maghanap na lang kayo ng anong trabaho dyan. Magtiis kayo. To open up the economy to pre-COVID-19 levels at this time is not an option because whatever good it can produce will only be gobbled up or be outweighed by the bad it will generate sometimes. Haste makes waste. The recent upsurge of infection, when you open little windows of resumption of business, is proof of that. I am happy that I have talked to you today. You know, in other places, they opened up too early, too soon. America is one. China, well, fortunately, it was arrested on time. China and the rest, for those who open up, and those who do not follow the protocols of at least the World Health Organization, they are suffering. And they have at least 140 deaths. And America, kukulang sila lahat. No nation on earth was really prepared for COVID. No amount of preparation because that kind of microbes visits about once every 100 years. Wala man yung mga tatay natin. What they suffered was Second World War. But tayo, we are not ready and therefore will not gamble with the lives and health of the people. Certainly no one would want to end up in the negative side of the equation. Not me, not us. All I ask is that you continue to put your faith in your government and work with us in achieving what is best for the country and our people. Together, let us do Mahirap basahin kasi dito. The most that we can to ensure that is health, safety, and well-being of every Filipino, especially those severely affected, are taken care of. Together, we shall fight this pandemic with the same fervor as our campaign against illegal drugs, criminality, insurgency, and corruption in high places, and entrenched parochial interests. As a government worker, I am addressing each and every Filipino that the government cannot do this without your help. More than ever, we need to reinvigorate the deep-seated Filipino spirit of pakisama and malasakit within each and every one of us. We are being tested as a people and as a nation. Worse times loom ahead, but I do hope that this spirit of solidarity and unity will serve as a drumbeat to which we shall march in unison in our quest for the light at the end of the tunnel. I appeal to each and every Filipino, let us take care of one another. Ito ang panahon para magtulungan, hindi panahon para maglamanan, mamang dila ko. Hindi maglamang at pagkakaisa. My faith in the Filipino innate patience, resilience, and determination to bounce back is unwavering. Let us share our blessings with those who have little and those who have none. This is the time to bring out the best in us. The woes that weigh heavily on our shoulders may bend our back, but they shall not bend or break our spirit. From the rubbles of adversity, a more resilient and stronger nation, built on bayanihan and pagkakaisa, shall rise. Together, we shall overcome. Before I pardon the time, but it was really the allotted time for my speech, I would just like to give a statement between us sa gobyerno kung hindi tayo nakakaintindihan. You know, Drilon extended, he was defending. I would like to ask Drilon, were you a part of ACRA when this contract of Ayala Water was being drafted? And why are you fumigating? Bakit kasi ikaw lang ang galit? Nasabi mo na dynasty. You are a hypocrite. You know that you cannot pass an anti-dynasty law. Ikaw nandyan sa Congress, ikaw ang mauna dito. But you know, to take it against me for protecting my country is something which I really resent. Alam mo, you describe using the dictionary the synonym ng mga oligarchy, kung ano. Then you proceeded to characterize everyone, every name, and then said that oligarchy is not bad at all, because not all oligarchies are bad. True. But ito, to my countrymen, the oligarchy that exists in this country is the oligarchy that existed during the Spanish time. And the Spanish lands and the friar lands and all the benefits that were passed on to the insulares who did not go back to Spain, or to the Spaniards and into their... But that was long ago. It has been forgotten. This is the oligarchy that controls the Philippines. By what? By taking control of the water and the electricity and power. Yan ang oligarchy mo, Drilon. Wala nang oligarchy dito except that they have control. Look at how can you now craft a new contract? Because I would insist that you pay the billions and billions that you collected. For example, water treatment. Oh, nandyan sa kontrata. It's in the billing. They've been collected. Since 1997. Ilang bilyon na nga wala ni isa. Not even a faucet was built for a water treatment facility. Yan ang mahirap sa... You do not protect the oligarchs here. You are the one. Ikaw lang mag-isa. And I suspect that you were also the one or help when you were there in the Accra. We do not even know ang mga abogado sa public documents. Hindi nga alam. Hindi nga alam kung nakagraduate ba o hindi. Wala. Would you think Ayala would get the services of those? Ayala got Accra. Accra did it. Ikaw galing ka doon. Most of you, more successful lawyers sa corporation. You handle big corporate. Yan ang mahirap. O, bangga tayo dito. Hinawakan ninyo eh. Hindi ka pwede kayo. Kita mo, noong nag-increase, walang tubig, pinuputol yung tubig. Ang tao, bumigay kasi hindi pwede yung tayo di maligo. Hindi uminom. Electricity, ayaw mag-increase. O ayan, wala ka. Palaging brown out lahat. I'm sorry, but I have to say this to you. I do not like it. It's not the time for it. But since it is the time for the SONA, for people to know and people to really get the facts, then, and the right of the people to be heard. Tayo na naman ang tao magsama. Hinawakan ninyo yung tubig, pati electricity. Yun ang oligarchy. Kaya ako sinabi ko noong kumpanya, corruption is not here. Yung mga customs, maliit yan. It's there upstairs. And I was really unprovidential. Dumating yung panahon na hindi ko hiningi. Then I saw the contract. Noong nakita ko yung contract na. Saka yung linya na yung choice, yung linya ng it belongs to government. The best of the transmission lines, whatever, government gets it first before anybody else. Thank you. I am true.
Okay.
Yan po. Okay. Yan po ay tunghayan ang mensahe ng Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa kanyang SONA, mensahe sa taong bayan.
Tama naman ang sinabi ng Pangulo, no, na ang bill na gagawa para pagbawalan ang political dynasty, meron talaga yan sa ating saligang batas, prohibition against political dynasty. Pero gagawa muna ng batas.
Kailangan
Malinaw yan.
enabling law.
As mandated by law. So tumbok niya doon si Senador Drilon na pinasaringan ang pamilya Duterte. Sinabi ng Pangulo, kayo na mismo gumawa dyan sa Kongreso. Katang dyan, suntok sa buwan. Kaya kanilang gawin.
Ayun, ang magandang tanong. Pero also, marami rin po nabanggit ang Pangulo na talagang itong panahon natin ngayon na ating kinaroroonan is really troubled times,
Yes.
And of course, pinasalamatan po niya yung mga yung mga nag-aalay ng kanilang buhay, yung mga nasa frontline. At nakikiramay din siya kasama ng buong Filipino people sa mga namatayan na mahal sa buhay dahil nga sa kanilang paglilingkod sa bayan. At of course, meron din siya mensahe sa mga nananamantala, no? Sa ganitong panahon, yung mga profiteers, yung mga nanloloko, yung mga
Scammers.
corrupt, mga scammers, online.
Lalo sa
man yan.
online, scammers.
Yes, opo. Binanggit din po ng Pangulo yung pong mga naitulong ng pamahalaan sa Pantawid Pamilya Program. 4.3 million families po ang nakinabang. At of course, marami din siyang benepisyo yung pagkakapostpone ng barangay at ng SK elections dahil yung pondo po na yon ay nagagamit natin para sa ibang mga bagay na mahalaga ngayong may pandemya.
So malinaw doon ang sinabi ng Presidente, ang kanyang mga naging accomplishments bilang tagapagpatupad because the power of the sword belongs to the Executive Department, the power of the purse belongs to the Congress. Kaya humingi naman siya ng pakiusap sa ating mga kongresista na gawin yung mga batas para sa ganun ay maibsan ang sobrang epekto ng pandemic and at the same time ang kanyang mga sinusulong laban sa kriminalidad at sa droga. Jik, kanina sinabi ng Pangulo na baka ibabalik na niya ang bitay, ito pong death penalty by lethal injection because of kaning sa Binisaya pa seryoso. Seryoso talaga ating pamalaan, ang ating pong Pangulo Duterte upang labanan ang illegal droga. Kapag nakapasok na talaga illegal na droga sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino, dysfunctional.
At malaki ang talagang pagkawasak nito sa ating mga pamilya.
Parang pinaglalaruan na talaga tayo dahil dati nga, buti na lang nabuwag yan dyan sa New Bilibid Prison. Niluluto yung droga dyan sa loob.
Yun
At
ang
yan,
kailangan.
unti-unti na sila napipila. Alright.
At may mga panawagan din po, dun sa Department of Overseas Filipinos.
Yo, what's up? DXCP Merino News FM of ZSCMST is an affiliate station of Philippine Broadcasting Service, Bureau of Broadcast Services.